Well, hello everybody again. Uh, Pretty long night last night, and here we are again. Hope everybody's doing okay. I see DC, James, Randy, Mike, Greg, um, Richard. How y'all doing? Uh, this was kind of a last minute thing. Tim and Hannah had contacted me earlier today and asked me if I'd fill in for them if they couldn't make it. And I told them I would. I'd do the best I could. Uh, hey, Philip, son Bernie. Of course, I can't be them. I can just be me. But they're with her grandmother. They said that she wasn't doing good, so they're staying there with her tonight. So we're going to do what we can to kind of take their place tonight. How you doing, Mr. JW?
Different day, same old, same old. Messed with the bees a little bit this morning.
Pastor Larry. A lot of people coming in. I'm getting behind here.
Mm-hmm. Randy, Michael, Mike, hey Keith.
uh, I hadn't done anything to the bees since the last time I went live. Well, I got to take that back. I did something I hadn't done in probably 5, 6, maybe 7 years. And I just did it for fun, just to see if my machine would still work. I actually did OA on my 2 yard beehives, the one right here by the front door and the one on my pump shed porch. I got the old auxiliary vapor riser out and factor full and smoked them. They didn't get mad. Machine still works. So what you been doing?
I'm doing my. I just finished up my 4th round of oxalic acid treatment, and I'm actually going to check my. I've got screen bottom boards. I'm going to check my bottom boards. I got a little salve on them and check them in the morning and see if I still got any drop. I do. That was my 4th round. So if I do, I'll give them another round or 2. I'm going to try to get them down and put on some. I'm making some more frames for. I'll make my own candy boards. I've got about 10 more of them to build in the morning, and then I'm going to start making candy boards and checking my slide outs on my bottom board to see what kind of might drop I had, if any. So
Yeah.
I'll see what kind of shape I'm in this time tomorrow. I'll know.
I should have. I didn't take the time, but I had a board slid under one of these here. I should have pulled it out, cleaned it off, and stuck it back under there before I did anything. But I didn't.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I left Friday afternoon, drove up the north central part of the state. Illinois had their beekeeping conference and had Bob Benny and Jamie Ellis was the 2 main speakers, and they did a real nice job. I came home yesterday afternoon, and so I checked my bees this morning. I did put out a couple feeding stations. I put pollen in 2 of them and refilled my little sugar water fish feeding station just to see what the bees. I'd put out some pollen here about 2 weeks ago just to see if the bees were doing, and they never touched it. So I was starting maybe my pollen sub was bad, but when I put it out today in 10 minutes, I had bees every place. So I made a little
Yeah.
video. I'll post it maybe tomorrow.
You know, I'd been seeing. Is that mine? I've been seeing a lot of bees trying to rob. I've mentioned that the last couple of weeks, and I saw a guy posted on Facebook. He was talking about they're hitting his deer feeder. I think it was. Look like they fighting and everything around the deer feeder and around his hive.
Louisiana.
But all that lack of pollen, I guess, coming in, they all struggling to get whatever they can get.
That's one handsome man there behind you, Melissa. He reminds me of me. Good looking fella.
I mean,
This one? That one?
great.
Yeah. No, the character back there kind of looks like Santa Claus. He kind of looks.
So
How
that
you doing?
All right, so
so that
I'm almost always perfect. I haven't told you about me yet.
he's full of crap.
that's my dad.
Yeah.
JW needs to grow his beard out.
That's when I had a beard. It wasn't quite that full, but it was about that white. So I had a beard for a good while, but I got to being too gray. So I was so vain, I just shaved it off.
Yeah. He
Y'all
gets that.
birthdaying?
Are we birthday? We were at our niece and nephew's birthday party earlier. Sunday night we do dinner at my parents' house, so we had stopped by here for so Tom can get his grub on.
Oh man, I'm telling you that Joey, that guy there, he has to have a tapeworm. I never seen a guy that was so skinny that he eats so much.
I don't eat.
I used to work with a guy like that. It looked like he never could get full, and he didn't weigh 110 pounds soaking wet.
Thanks, Carl. You like our new name?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're hard up for heroes, I like to tell you.
So I'm on my iPad, and it's weird how it you have to click a different screen to look at the comments when you're on your iPad. It's kind of weird.
Huh. I do have the link up. Anybody else wants to come in? I got it. It's supposed to be pinned. I didn't even go back and double check it.
Lisa's in no way. So what do you think about that the meeting, JW?
I thought it was pretty good. They was a little. I got to thinking about it. They was a little short on vendors to what they had last year.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I don't know where the folks didn't do that well or what the deal was, but they was short 4 or 5 vendors that I got home, got to thinking about.
Mm-hmm. I definitely had room for at least 2 or 3 more.
Yeah. But as for the speakers, I thought Bob and Jamie both did excellent jobs of, with reference to their speaking.
So that was the first time that we've ever heard Jamie Ellis speak.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed him. I thought that his talks were really, really well done.
Yeah. He does a nice job. He's a little humorous, and it's not just the same old boring, dried, information. He enlightens his presentation up, pretty nicely with a little humor on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
So he does a really nice job. There's Miss Kimberly Smith. How are you this evening?
Hey, Kimberly.
My, because he's so soft spoken. Sometimes it's hard. Like we were sitting right in the front, so it was easy enough for me to hear him and see it. It's so easier when you're seeing somebody's face to understand what they're saying. But I could see where some people that were maybe sitting a little bit further back, even though there was speakers and microphones and stuff, if you're not right on those microphones, sometimes they don't pick up the greatest. And Bob's the tall guy, so if they don't have that mic, up where it needs to be, it doesn't pick him up so well. So I could see where maybe some people in the back could have, which I don't know if they did or not. I don't know if anybody complained.
I was in the back, that. So
yeah, oh yeah.
I could hear him fine. So
could you hear him fine? Because I was curious about that. Because even sitting up close, I could it was kind of soft. So I'm like, I wonder how well that's translating to the back of the room.
Yeah, I could hear Bob fine. My wife says that I need a hearing aid, but I hate to say this, but my wife can be a little bit full of baloney.
Philip, we're working on the bylaws. We're hoping to get those published this week.
Yeah.
So we'll let you know.
Hey, I'm an official. I don't know if you got in on the conversation last night, Philip, but I'm now an official honey
shower. Yeah.
A participant, and you might be in trouble.
He's coming for your crown.
Put that stuff down pretty pat. I'm working on it real seriously.
Yeah, I was just thinking about DC earlier. I don't know where to thank him for coming in tonight or get on to him for playing hooky last night. But he's here, so.
He's here, so he's forgiven.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to put him in timeout like them. But just a reminder, I don't have a prayer list to read for Kim and Hannah. But if you want to go back to the live for last week and hear the list, it starts at 34:50. Oh, you can't see that. 34 minutes and 50 seconds. And I don't know if anything's been added to it since then or not. So. And while I'm on that subject, y'all just keep Tim and Hannah and the grandmother and the rest of the family in the prayers.
I guess you mentioned, Joy, that's the reason we're on here instead of them. Is
yeah, they'd asked me to fill in
pretty poorly, so we're told. So
yeah,
we're just trying to fill in as best we can. And what can I say? Good luck, y'all.
Huh. Where was I?
We can discuss what we need to add to the bylaws of the JW Fan Club if anybody can come up with anything, so we can get those typed up here right quick.
I was going to be carried away with that subject. Come on in here.
Get ready for Navi.
All for Philip Morris.
Yeah, he did something good. Tell us about
Philip Morris.
He had a hog to skin.
He was working on that last night.
Yeah.
When I first met him last year, that Sonny and Cher there, they may not be old enough to remember, but there used to be a Philip Morris cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
They had a little guy that was dressed like the guys that in the old days was the elevator operators in these big hotels. He'd come out there and say, "Calling Philip Morris."
I'm not
Well,
gonna.
well, we got about 55 people watching. While
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, I want to thank all our veterans. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. I always try to thank the veterans every time I see them. If I know they're a veteran, if I see them wearing a cap or something. Uh, I was in between two of them ball games the other night. It made me feel good. One of them had a combat hat on. I can't even imagine what he'd been through.
Yeah.
I hear myself. Look like Lee's got something there.
Nope. There you go.
Oh, there it is.
I'm gonna go out and get the laptop because this is it.
Oh, yeah, that's it right
Is it
there.
locked? Is it locked?
Good job there, Quimby.
I know, right?
Lee's always on top of the game.
Yeah, he is.
That's been a day or two there.
Yeah.
Been a long time since I seen that little guy.
I didn't know that he was in the background. I can't see it because we're on Melissa's junk iPad. We're not on the laptop, so I couldn't tell that he was back there. So hey, Mr. Lee, how's it going, sir?
So what time did y'all get home, Tom? You surely got home time for the birthday party.
Yeah, so we kind of hung out in Springfield just a little bit this morning. We weren't really eager to go. Excuse me. We weren't really eager to get moving, to be really honest with you, because that birthday party was at 1 o'clock. So we got in about 12:30, I think, into St. Louis. So I think I left about, I don't know, 10:30, 10:40, something like that. So we were up pretty late last night, you know.
I heard that. I heard you
Past my
were.
bedtime.
Imagine.
Probably was even past Joey's bedtime.
I come out about an hour after I got off, and I could hear I walked to the door of the honey house. I hear y'all still talking, so I just turned around and went back to the house.
I believe by the time that us and Carl got off of that, it was about 1:10 in the morning. About 1:10 in the morning, I've already gotten probably a good 4 hours of sleep in at that point. So
So we haven't even been home yet from Springfield. We drove straight from Springfield to his sister and brother-in-law's house for our niece and nephew's birthday party. We've been there all afternoon, and then we just came straight to my parents' house. And then after we get done here, we'll go home.
now I'm going to bed.
Go to bed.
Goodness gracious. I can't imagine staying away from my dearly beloveds that long there.
So everything's still all packed up in the car and everything.
You guys not much help on the bee conversation, and you probably haven't even been close to bee for a week or two.
Yeah, I'm gonna be trying to get into him tomorrow. Excuse me, tomorrow I think,
We did.
because I want to try to finish feeding this week if I can. JW, do you have all your bees up to the weight that you would like to see them at?
I've got 2 light ones, best I can tell.
Okay.
So I'm going to be in there tomorrow, and I may be doing a couple more combines.
Yeah.
I'm going to check my bottom boards. I don't know if you were on here. See what kind of a drop I had. I cleaned them all good.
Yeah.
Last mite treatment. See if I got it. If I got a a drop off probably about Tuesday. I'll hit them again with the 5th round of OAV. I'm going to try to get them down.
Yeah.
I want them pretty clean.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
We've been calling for you. It's just about time you're showing up.
We're gonna double log in here for a second because my iPad's getting ready to die.
All right. Philip, I passed you honey around again the other night.
Oh, did you?
We had some members of the church come over Wednesday night, had a little fellowship, and one of the ladies that was here is a hobby beekeeper, and I knew she would be interested in that flavor, and I took it to her, and I brought me about 10 spoons. There were several people in the living room, and several of them guessed citrus, and there was one or two said peach, I think it was. And what was the other fruit you said a lot of people say?
A lot of people said apricot.
Apricot. Her husband, when he tasted it, he sat there about 10 seconds. He said, "That's got apricot in it."
I
He
think
hit it.
it's wild plum, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But
Most honeys don't taste anything like the flower of the fruit anyway, you know.
yeah, I don't know where it's going now. If I need to get you another jar. I'm trying to get the knobby, so I'll get you. It's not nearly as fruity this year. It's more citrusy this year, but less fruity.
Yeah. Well, that
I entered the black jar, Philip, at the Illinois
Did you?
Beacom. Yep, and the judge said the taste was kind of something like a cross between skunk and raccoon.
Well, at least it wasn't armadillo.
Oh my gosh.
so he said it was a little musky, huh?
I'll tell you what, I've been, of course, I'm still out at the farm. I ran out of gas today. I got to about 4:30. I've been entertaining. I don't know. I tried to jump on last night with you, Joey, but you had Brad and who else was on there? Y'all guys were talking about fermenting honey or something like that. I was trying to show you guys the pig. I had a couple of young fellas out here. They're in their 20s.
Mid 20s, I guess.
Well, the conversation was going, and I had this pig hung up out here. I was trying to show you all the pig they shot, and but I had to just get out of here and clean the pig. You know, you can't hang there forever. But we ate some of it today. We did pulled pork today. It was good.
Huh.
But yeah, they went out here on the property and they shot 2 pigs, but one of them was gut shot. So I said, we're going to let that one lay there. And we took the little bitty one and brought it back and cleaned it up, cooked it.
You got a pretty good supply of them there, I imagine, don't you?
Oh yeah, it's kind of like going to the refrigerator, JW.
Yeah.
But with a lot of extra work.
Yeah, they're about to take a lot of places in the south.
How much do you weigh?
That little one, I mean, we picked it up and just carried it one person at a time. They carried it to the truck, and then, yeah, I'll bet it weighed 45 pounds before we cleaned it.
Huh.
So, I don't know, it might have had 20 pounds of meat. But it was good. Good and tender, though.
Got my stomach growling thinking about it.
It was pretty. It's a calico colored pig.
Yeah, they're just, you know, domestic hogs just going wild. A lot of them, you know,
Yeah.
in a lot of places.
It was a small female, so we cut down some of the population by getting rid of it for sure. But that's why I enjoy these guys. I'm not even exactly sure how. I knew one of the guys I'd known he's the same age as my oldest son, or actually maybe a year older, but I knew him from like 12-year-old baseball and all that stuff. But his close friend was a scout in the troop that I'm associated with. And there's several of those friends. They like to come out here and shoot their guns and
Yeah.
chase the pigs around and stuff. It's a lot of fun for me watching these young folks enjoy the property.
Sure.
That's the reason you want to own something, is so you can share it.
I want to come down there and shoot some pigs too.
Come on.
You guys got plenty of pigs to shoot too, don't you?
Only problem is I put those young bucks to work in the bee yard too, though. I made them earn it, so
That's all right. I don't mind getting stung.
they fell right in. Neither one of them got stung. I got stung a couple of times, but neither one of them got stung. We didn't do anything but pull the supers off. I pulled the supers off and I threw a few happy tablets on.
You know, today is the first video that I hadn't watched Sunday morning.
Which one was that? When I watched a bunch of videos today, but
I hadn't watched it today.
Bob's, I'm trying to remember what Bob's was. Was it the interview with Greg Rogers? I watched that one, but that might have been, I watched his interview. I don't know. Say, DC, what was that one about? I watched a couple of Bob's videos today. I watched an interview. He had an interview with Greg Rogers about the slow release OA strips.
That's what they was talking about this morning when I went by it. I didn't watch it, but I noticed it was posted on there.
Yeah, I watched that.
There's no way he could have made it home yet. He and his missus had driven to up here.
That's one of the few talks I went to at Nobby was that. Oh gosh, now I'm drawing a blank on his name. I think I just said Greg Rogers. His presentation on the slow release.
Yeah.
OA strips.
Y'all know last night, who was the guy you were talking about last night? And I said that he had painted the bees blue.
Oh, who was that?
Y'all just mentioned him.
Was it Greg Rogers? Oh gosh, I remember that.
Boy, he does the apple pollinations quite a bit over in the Carolinas. He's a friend of Bob's. He's not too far.
He just talked at y'all's thing there. I got him confused. I got him confused with another guy, Randy Oliver. I think.
Oh, Randy Oliver.
Yeah, he's the one that painted the bees blue and found them 5 miles away in another hive.
Okay.
Oh, they were drifting. Yeah.
Jamie Ellis did do a similar project though, but it was with hive beetles.
Yeah.
And he painted hive beetles.
Probably so.
Or no.
I might have had them mixed up. Because I remember I got to thinking about it this morning and I said, for some reason, it just hit me. It was Randy Oliver that did that. It's the first time I'd ever seen Randy Oliver. He talked about that.
Yeah.
I think it was hive beetles.
Back in like 2019 or something like that. I don't remember.
Some of those guys think way too small. I mean, what you need to do is paint some raccoons yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what you should do.
I know a guy that does that quite regularly.
Raccoons are the real problem. I don't know why we're all worried about
we're back in trapping mode. I baited everything, or I say everything. I baited my 2 traps up this afternoon. Tom, I don't know if you and Philip was on here or not, but I did put some pollen out this afternoon. 2 different, I call them robin stations, you know that. I put some pollen out, some pollen sub, and within 10 minutes they was both loaded. I made a little video on it. I'll try to post it tomorrow, maybe if I get
really?
I'm sure they were.
time. Yeah. So, I had put out some pollen a couple 3 weeks ago, just put out a little bit, and I hadn't touched it up until today. But, so we're in the full. Our forage is pretty well over when they go to attacking those. Those robin stations pretty strong, and they was loaded within 10 minutes.
I've got a partial bag of Ultra Bee left over that I should probably do maybe just throw out just to try to use up if they'll take it.
Well, I'd begin to wonder that my substitute pollen, or pollen substitute, however you want to say it, was bad. Because, I bought a little bit up there off of the Day Damp Man up there at Springfield. So,
I was,
go ahead.
well, I was talking about pollen and bees getting pollen, but I did some OAV treatment yesterday morning, and it was like one colony, and it was busy bringing in a lot of pollen, but the rest of them didn't seem to be bringing in any. It's kind of, it's funny how, from one colony to the next, they act totally different.
I've got one right now up here, Phil. I've got 36 active colonies right now, and I've got one out of 36, and they're bringing in I checked them again today. They wasn't quite as strong as they was Friday when I checked them before I left to go to our state bee conference. But the pollen they're bringing in, I can't figure out what it is. It is straight, really, really bright, almost a fluorescent orange.
Yeah, I noticed it's like there's two kinds of ragweed here. One is the one that grows real tall, and the other one grows real low. And I noticed the ones that are real low have a lot of pollen on them right now, and it must be that. And there's also just a little bit left of the aster bloom here. Yeah. And I saw some bees working that today, but that one colony, when they were bringing in all that pollen, it was pretty early and it was still pretty cool. I'd say it was 55 to 60 degrees, and nothing else was flying, but they were busy. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe they got more Italian influence in them, So, and some of the when I first got out there, I saw them, I looked through all the other colonies. I'm like, well, I might have some dead outs here, but I didn't have any. It's just some of them don't get out and work, and some of them do.
Yeah. I don't know what this is. In the spring, there's enough dandelion. It's a real bright orange falling off the dandelion, but there's not enough dandelions. There's one here and there, but not enough to make a pollen source, I don't think.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they're bringing it in. This one hive has found them, and I don't know where it's at and what it is.
Yeah, I have no idea whether they're brooding or not, because I had so much else to do. I didn't even really pull frames. I didn't get into anything that was bad enough that a couple of times I would pull the top off the box, and I was like, oh, this could be a dead out, because there was hardly any bees in the honey super, which was empty. We didn't get any honey. I think I got like 2.5 supers of honey off of about 40 colonies. But I thought they were dead out, but I'd pull the honey super off and look down through, and there were bees between every frame. So I probably didn't pull up 3 frames the whole day. So I don't know how the brood is. I just had too much to go through, so I didn't. It wouldn't make any difference, other than to answer your question, it wouldn't have made any difference to anything I would have done, other than if they were super weak, I would have combined them or shook them out.
JW, what's your channel name?
I don't know. I don't watch it.
Was it Soapstone Farms?
Soapstone
Farms.
Apiary.
Whoever's wanting it's hard up for something to watch. All I can tell them. I don't do how to.
Just an old man and the bees.
What's going on in my world?
He says, "Hey y'all,
Lee's got something for you."
Old man and the bees.
He's gonna
Stone Farms
make
Apiary.
the world famous like Mike.
Oh God! Oh, there you go.
Good Lord, what kind of cat is that?
That's a yalacoon.
There's some in my neighborhood. They tell me that's what the local coon hunters say. I paid about 30 of them. So people was.
I didn't know you did a custom paint job like that.
Yeah,
not what I imagined.
So
I can do it all.
Brian just posted a thing about he sold his first nuke today for next year.
I think.
And I'm wondering if there's going to be a nuke and package shortage this year with all the hurricane stuff that happened in Georgia and North Carolina.
Oh, that's a long way
Yes,
from
in
now.
Queens
They
too.
could produce three or four different times between now and then. They got someplace to do it in.
I bet there'll be a few less queens this year.
Yeah.
This next year, I'm sorry.
Well, those Minnesota hygienics queens out of Louisiana and over and through there, they ought to be okay. And let's just this storm that you're talking about now, they said this morning it had pretty well petered out. They'd reduced it down to a tropical depression or whatever.
Isn't there like another hurricane coming up the Gulf or something now?
There's a
Well, that's the
possibility.
one that petered out. They've reduced it down to, unless it have to pick back up, but I'm very doubtful.
Mm.
Well, hopefully it doesn't come to fruition.
Man,
Those guys have been hammered twice down there already in the center of the peninsula. Well, I guess and the Panhandle too.
that'd be a late hurricane if it's
Yeah.
going, then that's really late. You'd think that we'd get a good nor'easter or whatever come down, blow all that back down. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I don't. All I know is we got our club's bee nukes locked down, ordered. Because I'm like, I don't want to take a chance of not being able to get bees for the club.
Well, I don't think it'll be that bad, but
Where do you guys get your bees for your club?
This year we're going to go with Matthew Winstead. He's in or near Kansas City, Missouri, and his name of his company is Golden Rule Honeybee Farm.
What's the delivery date on them?
The last weekend in April.
That's not bad.
Now, last year we used Tyler Holton, Holton Honey Farms.
Yeah.
And those bees were great. We just
Holton Homestead.
Yeah, whatever. But we just kind of wanted Matthew because we had that whole nuke debacle this spring where our supplier, the bees got sprayed, and Matthew Winstead actually,
good Lord,
hooked us up with.
You think she's doing sign language over here for crying out loud?
That's right. You guys fight. Tom fights for screen time more than Jasper does.
You got to get more aggressive with it.
Wow.
Hey, Joey, you're supposed to be on my side, buddy. No, he's a traitor, Philip.
So Matthew Winstead, who we're getting the bees from for next year, is that person who actually put us in touch with. Look away, everybody! It's about to get bad. No. So Matthew is the one who actually put us in touch with Tyler. So we decided to, since Matthew's local and Missouri beekeeper, we decided to go with him this year.
Yeah, he works pretty hard at what he does, and I like his operation.
Hey, Lee, good night. Thanks a lot.
Nightly.
Hey, see you later, Lee.
I like Brian's
Philip auditioning for Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I sort of have that floating head thing going. I was noticing that. If I hold my head just right.
And the lighting is like perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. I'm under this. It's a yellow, one of those yellow bug light, or I don't know. It's a yellow light, so keeps the bugs down a little bit.
It's
nice. It's a nice night to sit out. I was worried that I'd be eaten up with bugs and stuff, but it's cool here. It's probably about 55.
Lee had
60 here.
Lee had a question pinned. I'm gonna go ahead and show it. Y'all may have answered this when I walked out a minute ago. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and show it. Somebody wants to answer it.
I would say below the inner cover with a shim because you don't want anything making any type of barrier between them and the food.
That's what I was thinking.
Especially when you're going to be feeding that, which is wintertime.
Yeah, I tend to agree that I'm inner cover with a shim. Well, I mean, don't those hive alive? You cut a hole and let them come up through the hole straight into the bag. That's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I think it keeps from drying from drying out as bad.
If it's not in its own little package like a Hive Alive fondant, then I would agree with what you said. But if it's in its own little bag, I don't think it would matter as long as the
Some
Well,
of
here's
the
here's
some
my
of the
only thought
covers
about my only thought about that is if it's above that shim or above that inner cover, that inner cover is going to be, there's so much heat rises from the bees, right? And it might keep that fondant a little bit more pliable, easier for the bees to eat. Or if it's above that inner cover, it might get a little harder, freeze a little bit. I don't know.
I would worry about if he says it's better to feed fondant above the inner cover with the shim, meaning he puts a shim, the inner cover, and then the fondant. You're going to have a larger separation from the cluster of bees in the frames to get up to the fondant. And if it's extremely cold, I don't remember where he's at, but if you get a really big cold snap, those bees may not go up there and grab that because they're almost going to have to festoon to span that gap.
I think he's up for New York.
Yeah.
So it gets cold up there.
I don't
But-
use inner cover, so I can't respond.
On the other hand, if it's below the inner cover and you want to peek and see if they're eating it, you won't be able to see it. If it's above the inner cover, you can see how much they've consumed.
Yeah.
I think it was last year. Her and I put out a little short video of me going. It was right before we were in a bit of a warm spell, but it was a cold snap starting to happen, and I wanted to check out one of our bee yards. And I had some. Last year was the first year I used Hive Alive fondant patties. I got a really good deal on them, so I bought a bunch of them, and I put them right on top of the frames with the shim above them, so I could, so they would fit inside there with my inner cover on it. And I opened them all up and it was getting really cold. And I started going through. I mean, I didn't break open the box, of course. I just pulled the top off and pulled the fondant pack back to check them out. And it didn't seem to affect them any.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I would say the one thing that we did find in spring when we were starting to pull those off, tons of hive beetles inside that plastic of those Hive Alive fondant, the plastic, I think because the bees chase them in there and they trap them in there, because we were finding tons of hive beetles in not larvae, just the beetles themselves in the plastic.
So I remember some beetles in there, but I don't remember tons.
There was.
You have a different idea of
Don't
what
listen
that
to
was.
him. He doesn't remember.
Right.
So I was
he's going to
watching.
get another black eye for tonight, so will you.
I
was-
think so.
Hey, he's pushing my buttons right now.
That's
I
what
was-
happens when you stay up drinking all night and get all spruced up. You get to be a
See,
Cool.
Keith
little
said he
contentious
feeds
with
above
one
the
another.
insulated inner cover.
Yeah. I was watching a Bob Benny video. It had nothing to do with fondant or patties or anything, but I can't remember if it was, I think it must have been in the spring, early spring, but they had a cold snap. And Bob Benny, and it might have been one of those yards he had set up for like mite treatments. They were trying to actually have some mites for the people who were doing experiments. But all I noticed was he would pull that. All Bob runs is a migratory cover. There's no reflectix or anything. You pull back the cover and there the bees are.
Mhm.
So he would pull back the cover and there didn't look like there was a bee in the box. And then there was a little square pollen patty there. Might have just been the paper left over from it. And he would peel that paper back and literally the cluster was, if it was a rectangle, the cluster was a rectangle. Hugged up right underneath where that patty was. And that told me right there when I saw that insulation, either in your inner cover or in your cover itself, really makes a difference because those bees were not anywhere but below those pollen patties when he peeled it back. They were doing everything they could. It's almost like they were just hanging on to the edge, You didn't even look, it didn't even look like there were bees in the box when he opened it up until when he pulled that patty back, there the bees were. So that to me is all I got from that video. I don't know if I was paying attention to anything else, but that kind of blew my mind at how much that little bit of difference, that little 3/8 inch patty or whatever,
I think that would have been enough to convince me too, honestly.
Yeah.
So we run all of our hives are telescoping covers, except for the majority of our nukes are migratory covers. And we started doing the double bubble thing a little bit last year, but more this year. And honestly, I like it more because it keeps the bees from propolizing the flipping frames to the lid than anything else. Like that's such a pain when you go to pop that lid off and you can't get it off because they've got all the frames propolized to that migratory lid. So that double bubble stuff really helps keep them from doing that.
Yep.
So,
The only thing,
Don't they glue it to it?
yeah, they do to the double bubble. They will. Yeah.
the only thing I don't like about the double bubble is when you peel it back, all those hive beetles dive right down into the frame.
Yeah.
And you don't have a chance to kill them.
You got to have a hive tool ready. So when you pick it up, you nail them down right there.
I've got to get quick with my quick draw.
You do.
Well, it's the same with like when we treat with the Apigard. You know, you go back to do that second treatment, or you go back after you're done and you pull that, if they haven't completely devoured it and pulled it out of the hive, you pull that white card, which we buy the tub. So if you don't buy the tub, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But you pull the card out that you had the Apigard up on, and there'll usually be a ton of hive beetles hiding out underneath that card.
Yeah. I wish I knew where they were. I'd squish them before I pulled it back, but I'd probably squish bees if I did that.
Mm-hmm.
What you guys get is you need a straw. That's what I do with them hive beetles. I take a straw and suck them up.
I'm sure.
You must be quick.
Hey, can you make a video of that, please? I want to see that.
Yeah, me too.
Just make a video.
Well, that's the reason I don't do how-to videos. Is people make fun of all my techniques. You know?
No, I wouldn't make fun of it. I would share it. I would share that video.
Well, it is
So
what it
hey,
is.
this is what I would tell Morris Homestead to do. I don't remember how many hives he has, but maybe he can drop the comment in here how many hives that he has. Do this. Try it both ways on equally sized colonies, and then after the winter's over, make some observations of what you've seen. If there's any difference or not, in your area. Maybe just do it with a couple.
Do 3 one way and 3 the other.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I would say.
DC, that's on our dinner menu this week too.
What does he say?
Navy beans and cornbread, ham and beans.
Yeah, it made me hungry. Talk about
I
hogs.
don't do how-to videos for that reason. Just like we're talking about, everybody does it a little bit different.
I would say below the inner cover, is best for the bees, and above the inner cover is best for the beekeeper.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a fair assessment. I agree with that.
Now, if you got a pretty big hole, I guess it wouldn't matter that much on top of that when you put it on top of that inner cover. But all mine are like 3/4 or 1 inch holes. I know that wouldn't do any good.
Yeah,
But,
mine are bigger, 2 1/4, something like that. But I don't feed pollen patties or winter patties or fondant or anything like that. So I don't know anything about it really. I'm not one to really ask.
Yeah, we always put some sort of, like, even our hives that we think have plenty of food to get through winter, we always still put some sort of emergency feed on them just in case.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, I've got some colonies out here that I could have fed today, and I only fed out of 40 colonies. I only fed like 9 2-quart containers of 1-to-1 sugar water. I didn't feed as much. I thought I had to feed more when I took away those honey supers, but they didn't have any honey in them anyway. But it's don't do what I do, because I'm in the South. I can feed all the way. I might be a month out of the year that I can't liquid feed, if that. And I'll go out. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
I say there's a couple commercial guys here in Missouri that that anytime you start talking about putting candy boards on, they get downright twitchy, and are constantly questioning and saying, why do you guys feed dry sugar? Why do you, all this, they say quote unquote misinformation about things, which is fine. And these guys claim, and I've never done it before, so I can't speak toward it directly, claim that they'll feed throughout the winter if they have to. And they said, and one of these guys has been doing it for a very long time.
Feed corn syrup too.
Says, he goes, I'll feed all the way through the winter if I have to. And he goes, as long as you put that feed right above the bees, and when it warms up just a little bit during the day from a little sunlight, said the bees will take it down. This is what he is claiming. And this is here in Missouri. One of them, I think, is in Middle Missouri. The other one's out toward the western side of the state.
Hey, Brian, Flower Street, can you come in for a minute, if you will?
Yeah. While you're waiting for Brian to come in, I want to just share something. When you're messing with the bees, there's always something real strange that happens. But we were taking off these supers, and I opened up one, and it was a really kind of a strange deal. It was a medium box, and I had 2 or 3 frames on the left and a frame or 2 on the right, and in the middle I had my feeder, because I use a medium as a feeder shim. So I have these. Oh gosh, I actually happen to have one in front of me. I feel like Fred Dunn now. I had this on there. It has this is the lid, and I just drill a few holes in it. So that's sitting there right on top of the frames. And when I reached the first thing I noticed was, even though I hadn't been out here in like a month, that when I pulled I tried to pick the bucket up because of I wanted to take the bucket out so I could check the weight of the hive without the bucket. When I went to pick the bucket up, it came off the lid and it flooded the entire colony with fermented sugar water. And those young guys with me, I said, these bees are probably dead. I probably killed them. I probably killed all the brood. Anything that was open for sure.
Yeah.
So they were like, really? I was like, yeah, could be. I said, so anyway, today we were counting the mites that dropped from OAV yesterday, and we were finding 4, 5, sometimes 10, 12. I think one guy found like 42, but they were, in my mind, they were low mite drops for, I've been treating all along, but I hadn't had out here. I don't get to treat them every 4 days. I can treat them every 2 or 3 weeks. So when we got to that colony, and I didn't even realize it was that colony, but I brought one back, and one of the guys, I was counting the mites, and I would get, if I got 5, he would get 9. If I got 10, he would get 15. He was getting 5 more mites than I was on the same, because we were switching the sticky boards back and forth, and we were making a joke of it. So when I pulled one of the boards out, it was, covered with mites. And I was going and getting them, bring them back, and they were sitting around the fire. And I had a smile on my face. He said, "Why are you smiling?" I said, "Here you go, smart ass. Count these." It probably had 1,000 mites on it. It was covered in mites. And I realized after we got to counting it, that counting board was really sticky. And I said, this was the one I spilled the syrup on. Huh. So did that cause the huge mite drop? But it was the only one out of 20 colonies that had even close to that many mites. So did that syrup running across all those frames blow those mites down? I don't know, but it was really strange, I thought.
Maybe grooming behavior?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe they were grooming all that sugar water off of each other and getting drunk at the same time, because that sugar water was really fermented. But anyway, throwing that against the wall. I don't know what was going on. Hey, Brian.
Brian,
Hey, how's it going? What's up,
you
Joey?
had asked me something about my sugar mixer last night.
Yeah.
And we kind of got off subject before I really got through, and I never thought about it again.
Will you give us the tour?
Yeah, show us. Take the camera back there.
Oh, let's see. I almost hit remove. Now you just have to ask me what you want to see.
Sure. So right now I'm making syrup out of like a 10-gallon water cooler. And, you know, I don't want to put something in the back of my truck. I still want to make syrup here and
Yeah.
then like load up like 2-gallon jugs to bring out to my yards. I just need to make larger batches at a time. So when I saw your video, it's kind of right what I was looking for.
Did
How
you go
long?
watch, did you go watch the other one that's linked to that one?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The one where you kind of first were putting it together kind of thing.
Yeah, I kind of showed or talked about what I did.
Yep.
But last
So-
night we got to the pump. I showed the box on the pump,
Yeah.
what it is.
So would you recommend upgrading a pump if I'm going to do like up to 2-to-1 syrup?
That one will do it. It'll mix it good. But if you want to pump 2-to-1 a long distance with this setup, it may slow it down a little bit. But as
Okay.
far as just mixing, what I have, I'll do it good.
Okay.
It'll work fine. But the only thing that slows it down is when you start transferring the water to buckets or anything
Yeah.
through this hose.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a few seconds slower with the 2-to-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I know you can't see down in the drum, but we got a 90 down here coming up, and we got this valve right here,
Yep.
and it actually coming from this way. The pump's over here,
Right.
and it just churns it. Now, it'll churn 2-to-1 all day long.
How long because I think your video said you did it overnight. How long would you say you have to run it till it's
No,
all?
I didn't run it overnight. I let it set overnight.
Okay.
I probably ran it 30 minutes or so making it, and then I shut it off a minute to see what it looked like, and I might have run it another 20 or 30 minutes while I was working out here doing something.
Okay.
And then it set overnight. And actually, the next day when I talked about that, I didn't even notice it when I was making the video, but you can't see the few little granulars I was talking about. You see that light reflecting in there, and it looks like sugar, but it wasn't. But there was just a few little granulars kind of floating down there, and they disappeared in a couple of minutes. But it had it all mixed up good. But the pump's on this side, it comes up and goes back down, and you just control your speed flow with this thing right here, this valve.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I usually put it about halfway closed, and it pumps it through here. This is like a 25-foot hose, and I'd have to go back and time it again. I think I timed it. I can't remember what it is now. But when the first video I done, it was slower because I was pumping it through a 125-foot hose.
Okay.
It was taking like 45 seconds to pump a gallon.
Yeah, my plan is just to set something up in my backyard, just make a big batch, and then just load up my buckets, put it in my truck, and then go from there.
I think you could probably fill a gallon bucket up for about 30, 35 seconds.
Okay.
With this at 2-to-1, maybe just a few seconds longer.
And that's 55-gallon?
This is a 55-gallon drum, yeah.
And then how big of batches are you? What's the largest batch you'll typically make?
I have made, I would say about half full of this drum.
Okay.
The other day in that video, I had this drum's 55-gallon drum, and it was just a little over 1/3 full when I got done with 4 bags of sugar and the 9 gallons of water.
Okay.
So it's about 1/3 full, maybe just a little over.
Yeah, and you see Mark asks, you just use cold water. I think you used both in your videos.
Yeah.
You used warm and then cold one time.
Yeah, I did the warm in the first video, but I tell you, unless that water is real cold, just regular tap water, it dissolves it pretty good.
Okay.
The less I can make, I can put a 5-gallon bucket of water in here and mix how much sugar I need in there. 5 gallons. Because it only pumps, what did I say last night? 1/5 the depth or whatever.
Okay.
The Chinese had it, but it's real shallow. So I think the minimum I've done is maybe 4 gallons of water just to see if it would do it.
Okay.
Then when you start adding the sugars, of course, it's going to go up a little bit.
Did you ever consider putting a spigot in it, like at the bottom on the outside?
I was thinking that same thing.
No, not really. Not in this one.
Okay. I was just wondering
Well,
of like a drain or like a plug on the bottom to drain out the bottom or anything.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to show you something here. See this little pump?
Yep.
I can get all but maybe 1 pound or less than 1 pound of the sugar water out of this drum with this pump right here.
Well, hold on, you got 2
RV.
pumps?
Yes, sir.
There's a submersible and that one?
The submersible is for the mixing.
Oh, okay. It's just
This
a
one here is
recirculating
actually-
pump.
Yeah, if I ever wanted to just throw this thing on the trailer and mix it here and then haul it somewhere, I can use this one. It's a 12 volt. It's a 12 volt pump, and everything I got hooked up to that spigot up there, will hook up right here, in and out. And this thing, it'll draw. You don't have to prime it. It's gonna suck it up. If you got 120-foot hose, nothing but air in it. Once you turn it on.
All right, I got you. It makes it portable. It's a secondary pump.
I got a short hose. See this thing?
Yep.
This
Yeah, I
goes
saw that
down.
in the video.
It goes in the drum.
Yeah.
It sits right on the bottom. It's just like I got sugar water everywhere now.
And you're happy with how that pulls it out?
Yeah, see, I got that screen there.
Yep.
Yeah, you can throw this down in there, hook the hose up to here. It goes in and hook this white hose up over here. And it don't matter how long the hose you got, it's going to prime itself. You can put a 200-foot hose on there and it'll prime it.
So Joe,
it's actually faster than the other pump when it comes to 2-to-1.
Okay.
It'll pump the 2-to-1 faster than the other pump will.
so I'm assuming you load that thing up dry before you take it somewhere.
Well,
But it gets heavy.
that would be the plan, but I've got another drum just like this one without the top cut out. And if I ever want to haul that much sugar water, I'll mix it in this one and then pump it into the other one sitting in the back of the truck.
All right,
Just take this and my hose with me.
gotcha.
And I've got it where I can hook it up to a battery.
Yeah.
I got a long cable. I can hook it up to a battery, and I still hadn't done it yet, but I want to I got an RV plug that's got the charging circuit on it for the RV battery. I'm going to fix it where I can just plug it in there and use it for the power. But I got an extra battery right now, so that's why I hadn't done it.
Right now, I got a question about the barrel. I don't know if you've seen DC setup, but he has like a spray tank setup, so it's like shorter and wider versus like a taller barrel. What would the pros and cons be for those? I don't think
either one's going to work fine.
Okay.
I think what he's got is the sprayer. It's designed actually. He might have got it. I
got
can't
the
remember
pump built into it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's designed like for sprayers. It sprays on the farm, on fences and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. It's just a different shaped vessel, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, does it matter? Do I just find the best deal and build it from there, kind of thing?
Yep.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta go do a chore. I'll be right back.
Okay. But yeah, he had asked about that, and I had totally forgot about it. We was talking about something else last night, got back on that subject, and I had totally forgot about it. That's another thing I thought about this morning. I said, I didn't even finish answering that man's question.
It's not like you weren't going to talk to him shortly.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
But yeah, that one DC's got, it works good too, as far as I know. But I have watched a couple of videos with the guys that's got the same, just like DC's. They bought it with the pump and everything already on it. For the sprayers, you know, the fence rows and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they just convert it to sugar water maker.
What's DC's YouTube channel called? I don't think I'm subscribed to him.
Yes, I use cold water, Mark. I've done it with the hot and I've done it with the cold, and the cold works just as good. What's DC's what?
His YouTube channel called? I don't know that I'm subscribed to him.
DC's bees.
Just DC's bees.
Or would I be subscribed to him?
I thought so because his videos used to show up.
Oh, we'll click on it.
We are now.
Oh,
Sometimes I have to resubscribe to people. I don't, for whatever reason, it gets changed sometimes.
Yeah.
so that's interesting you said that, because Melissa goes, I thought we were subscribed to him. I'm like, but I don't see it on there. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it
Well,
somehow
because it
moves
showed
us
that
on.
I had watched some of his videos, so I don't know why it wouldn't, but
Yeah.
who knows?
But what I was going to tell Brian, you see that other little pump up the tank right there? Whoops, right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 15 gallon. If I'm going to one particular yard, I can throw it on the truck and fill it up and take this same apparatus and just use it. Use this right here.
Yeah.
Do you
Those
have a
battery, they're a dime a dozen. You can buy them about any place. I've got a 25 and I've got a 50 or a 50 and I've got a 15 where I can move them around.
Yeah.
And pump out of them. So.
But I've got another drum just like this one sitting in storage that what my workplace used to give these out to us. It's a food grade drum. We would buy soap in them. Some of them would be dishwashing soap, some of them would be car washing soap. And they wouldn't for whatever reason, I guess that was the end of the line for the drum. So they'd get a collection, about 20 or 30 of them, and they'd always had a rotation list. Anybody wanted blue drum, I would bring some home every now and then. But anyway, I've got another one just like it that if I ever need to haul a lot, I'll probably just clean it out good and throw it on the truck and pump it out of here and put this little pump on it.
Joey, how many yards do you have?
There ain't nobody here gonna buy that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yards, but I try not to have more than, I've got one more out yard that has like 8 in it, and all the rest of them's got like 4 or 6, something like that.
Yeah.
I try not to get them real big.
So about how many total?
I can use that drum to most of the yards right there. That's 15 gallons.
Okay. So how many you run in total?
I'm
Is it
close
5?
to 40, but 30 something maybe.
Okay. And then are you in a situation where you can drive up to all your hives, or are you like parking and walking to them?
I can park. I can make them fly through my window.
Okay.
Going in the hive.
Yeah. See, that's my other situation. I can do that with some of my out yards, but other ones I'm parking and then like walking to their backyard. So I'm still like carrying gallons of syrup. I can't, like a tank doesn't work for my situation on my vehicle.
one thing I do remember, probably need to say this on the other video. I was using a 120-foot hose. I think it's a 5/8, and it was kind of slow in that long hose.
Okay.
If you go with a hose that long, you probably want to go to like a 3/4 hose, maybe something bigger.
Yep.
I think that was a 5/8 hose.
Mine's going to be like 10 feet. Mine's going to be super short.
This is a 5/8 hose, and it's only like 25 foot long, and it does good for filling up buckets. That's what I did with it here.
And what size is the PVC?
You talking about in the mixer itself?
Yep.
That's 1.5 inches.
Okay.
Everything's 1.5 inches.
Cool. That's a winter project.
And this is 1/2 inch right here. And
Okay.
I did that on purpose. I kind of did that where I can vacuum, like I said, every bit of that sugar water out of this drum with this pump. I can clean it dry. The next day, all you're gonna have in it is what drained off the wall.
Right.
Now on the big one, when I pump it down till it loses prime, you've got about 2.5, 3 foot, 1.5 inch pipe there, and all the way across, full of sugar water. So when you shut it off, all that's going to dump back in the tank.
Yeah.
And that's where you can suck it all out with this one.
Okay.
You need to get it out. If you don't need to get it out, I mean, if you're going to make more,
Right.
just leave it in there. It ain't going to hurt nothing.
Right.
You know?
Cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. I'll probably reach out and ask more questions when I start to build it, because that building stuff is not my skill set. That's so I avoid that the most.
All right. Let's see. What is this?
Well, maybe what Brian should do is fly me out to his place for a week, and we'll bum around, go hike in the mountains, maybe do some whitewater rafting, and then I'll help you build the tank.
There you go. It's a deal.
The thing about him is, Brian, that it's always on you. If you notice that.
Yeah.
So he never wants to split apart with any of his
I don't know if you also heard he eats like he has a tapeworm, so he eats a lot.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't
this
use
machine takes a lot of fuel, Philip.
Well, I know from experience that Brian eats, he eats like a bird. So y'all will make a good couple.
I got to keep my svelte figure, Philip.
No, you don't. You made me look. I saw you in my bee suit, and I said, "Why don't I look like that in that bee suit?"
on this question here. I've not used one of those tank heaters, but what's his name? Bohemian Bees. Don't he use a drum heater sitting in the bottom of his, like a honey warmer heater?
I don't know.
I don't know enough about how a water heater works. I should know a little more about inner working.
I don't know why you would want one in a.
No.
I
just use tap water. If I want warm water, I got it right there. I can hook it up. I can hook this hose up.
He says he don't have access to hot water, but I don't know why you'd want. I don't know where he's.
I can. It does help if you can use hot tap water if you don't have access to it. Because that's just to speed things up a little bit. I put mine on a burner.
I'm gonna tell you something weird. After I got it on that box, let me look. It says it gives a temperature, and I didn't see it when I bought it.
Well, Pete, maybe you can come up and build me a syrup thing like that. Nice little syrup barrel. You love winter projects. They got slammed compared to what I got. The snow I got was nothing compared to what Pete Morris and John at Westcliff got. I got like 10 inches, and it was the kind that like it kept melting as it was hitting the ground. So it was like heavy, wet snow. It was like 50, 55 degrees today, and like the streets are clear. There's still snow in like the yards and everything, but they got hit hard down south.
See that? Can y'all see that?
No.
No, make yourself big. Yeah. There you go.
Let me find it. Maximum 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
That don't even make sense to me.
Yeah, that's pretty cold. It's not very warm.
So even like the tank that we have, we just use water out of the hose. So long as you have something in there recirculating that water around, churning it, that sugar is going to dissolve. Just with the colder water, it's going to take a little bit longer to dissolve that sugar. Like I said, we just use hose water, and Tom just leaves it circulating for, I don't know, how long do you leave it circulating?
It depends on if I'm mixing 1 to 1 or 2 to 1. It'll mix a little longer than 2 to 1. And then sometimes I turn it off and let it settle for a minute, and then I'll turn it back on a little bit later, let it agitate some more.
Back when I used to do it in 5-gallon buckets, and I used the little drill and the paint mixer.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
I would use hot water. I would do that because I needed to get it dissolved quickly. I would wait till I really needed it instead of doing it a day ahead of time or whatever. But with this, like I say, I've done it with the hot and I've done it with the cold, and it actually does either one just about as good.
So it's more about the agitation than the temperature of the water.
I think so too.
And that pump right there, if you use hot water, it's going to run for a little while and it's going to shut down on high temp.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
But you don't have to worry about it. Just leave it alone and it'll come back on when it cools back off. That's why I like to just use the cold water. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
So, Joey, I was looking back through the comments, and Lee was saying something about I wanted you to make a honeysucker video.
Oh, that was me. Yeah.
Was you, Brian?
Yeah, Joey's mentioned these honeysuckers that someone's taught them how to make, so I'm trying to get them to make a video.
Okay, spoons. I thought you were talking about like a pump. Okay.
Yeah.
No, so some guy, I was at a party this weekend, and some guy was talking about trying to make them here in Colorado, and he was trying to make it with just honey. And he was playing with the temperature of candying, and he was having problems with it. So I immediately thought of you, Joey, and the story you told about the suckers that you were taught about. So I was just curious.
I told him I'm gonna come watch him do it and video it one day.
Cool.
I would like to learn how. That'd be a good time to learn.
Yeah.
But here's how they got started with that. When they saw it, it was actually designed. It was just that spoon was just level with the honey. I showed y'all one, didn't I?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you showed or described.
Okay, it's just a plastic spoon and it's kind of level. She just lays them down and she pours that heated honey in that spoon and let it harden.
Yep.
Right.
But when they first saw that, it was actually for sweetening coffee.
Right.
And they were making them and had them labeled or had the container that they were setting in the display as coffee sweeteners. And they were at one of those farmers market, and a lady come by that had several grandchildren, and she said, "Can these be eat like a sucker?" And they said, "I don't know why not."
Yep.
So she bought, I think, about 5 of them. And in about a half hour, she come back and bought all the rest. She gave them to her grandkids or kids or grandkids or whoever she was with, and they all liked them. And they last a long time too. They're so hard that they last a pretty good while. So now they relabeled them. They don't call them coffee sweeteners anymore. They relabeled them as honeysuckers. I mean,
So what are they adding to them though to make them hard? Like it can't just be honey.
I think it's just honey. They're heating it to that certain temperature to make it hard.
Yeah, so it's candy.
It's no good as far as honey value, and they do tell people it's just a sucker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most people say they don't care, but
Yeah, I bet you could go crazy with that. You could probably dip those in chocolate or dip them in peppermint,
Yeah.
all kind of stuff. You could really go crazy with that. With the honey
She
as the
makes,
base.
she has different flavors that she does use, and she makes a lot of them for weddings, for like people to pass out as gifts and everything. She does the little bottles for wedding gifts, and she does the suckers for wedding gifts. And if she goes to do a talk, she brings some and hand them out to people. But at certain places, she sells them for like $1, and in other places, she sells them for like $2 and $3. It kind of depends on where they're going with them.
Yeah.
And that the place determines the amount of money that she sells them for. But I think she figured,
Mhm.
or he figured, time to get the spoons and do the processing and buy the flavors.
It's a lot of work. It's about the
They-
work. It's not about the honey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
they've
so.
got like 30 cents in each spoon, and they sell them at the cheapest place. They sell them for $1. So she's making almost 3 times her money back.
And
or-
does she have to balance each one so like the handle is up, so the spoon part is level? You know?
I don't know how she's got that set up.
Hmm.
I don't know.
But
I know
don't her latest ones have the honey all around the spoon? It's not just in the middle of the spoon, isn't it? I think isn't it all around this spoon, Joey?
I don't remember.
I thought it was.
Don't remember.
And then Philip, it makes me think of doing like a hot honeysucker and like having like a bag full of
There you go.
suckers and then one hot honeysucker in the bag, and you never know which one is the hot.
That's like a game. You pass it out. Who's going to get the hot honey? That's
That's
funny.
right.
That's funny. That's like those what are those jelly beans, and like one of them is like
Yeah.
cute,
Yeah.
but they all look the same.
You get the booger bean.
Oh gosh.
But the
Yeah.
first time, they're only about 20 to 30 minutes from me. And the first time they came to our club, I invited them to come. I was president then. And she sat there and started melting wax and talking. She's melting the wax and talking. And she's telling stories about different things.
Uh-huh.
And the next thing you know, she's pouring candles. She's pouring candles and she's pouring wax into different, just regular molds, all right there while she's talking. You don't know what she's doing. She's melting wax. And when she gets to the end of her conversation, she's sitting here pouring the candles and making the little wax molds and everything. She even makes what they call a doggy treat with the honey. Her daughter come up with it, and I don't ask me what's in it, but her daughter had come up with the idea, and she said, "Why do that?" She said, "Mama, you'll sell it."
Because people
And she
will buy.
made those little dogs.
I'll tell you what, that's a great idea, because the market I do, people bring their dogs all the time. There's a lot of dogs there.
So there's actually the lady that lives across the street from my parents. She actually buys our honey and makes dog treats with it.
Yeah, there's at least one, maybe two vendors in our market, and that's all they sell is dog products.
Yeah, we have that too.
Yeah, same here.
There's a lady, the one that we do in Wildwood was next to us. The only thing she sells is bow ties for your dogs. That's what she sells.
That's
Dog
cool.
bow ties.
All right, hey Joey, I'm about 7% on my phone. I'm gonna go inside and get plugged in, but it won't keep up if I'm in the live. But I'm gonna get out of here and listen to you guys. It's been fun.
See you,
Talk
Philip.
to you guys later. All right. Good night.
Darren's got a good comment in there. It says it could also be sugar in the sucker because honey caramelizes and burns very quickly. Burns too fast to get hard-balled temps like you can with sugar.
Yeah, anytime I've looked up like honey spoon recipes, they always have corn syrup in them also.
Okay.
So
Could
I don't
be.
know. That's why I'm curious to know how if there's anything else in it or how she's doing it if there's not.
I know it's hard.
Mhm.
It's hard because they gave me 2 or 3 of them. I was gonna bring one to my granddaughter and one to my wife, and I eat one on the way home. And it's about a 45-minute ride from where the meeting was to home. And I know it took me at least 30 minutes to finish that sucker. It's hard.
Wow.
I
So
tried to bite
DC
it a couple of times, and I'm gonna break a tooth.
So DC said something about wanting to see what happens when you freeze dry honey. So the local bee shop that we have, she actually sells freeze dried honey, and they must just do like dollops of honey, and it just looks like little. I don't know. Kind of reminds me of lava rock. Not quite that hard, but like a tan color of lava rock is like what the outside looks
This
like.
is them right here.
Cool. Thank you.
This is
Appreciate it,
the
Jeffrey.
honey right here.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Send it on in.
So yeah, when you freeze
I
dry,
need to get them to come on here one time.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hey, so it sounds like everybody here on this chat has winter projects. You know, we all want to add a little something to our game, whether it be Brian making a feeder tank this winter, or maybe adding a new product in, us wanting to try a couple different creamed honey flavorings that we're going to do.
Here's
JW is going to work on a full line of products that he's going to sell at markets,
Baloney.
and he's going to submit in the honey show each time.
Not interested in any way.
Come on, what if I
Jeff,
twist your
if
arm?
you see that link pinned at the top, Jeff, if you have a camera and or a mic, you click a link at the top, and you can come in and talk about whatever you want to talk about.
or what everybody can work on their projects here in December, and they can bring them to
I tell you what,
NAMI in
we-
January, and then we can all taste each other's experiments.
There you go.
there you go.
What about you guys, Melissa and
It's
Tom? What are
great.
your winter projects?
So we want to work on flavoring some of that creamed honey, and
I have to finish putting together my own screened help me out here. The double screen boards.
wow.
I have
Okay.
I don't know 50 or 60 of the 3/4 plywood cut for that, but I need to put the rim on there. So that's what I'm going to work on.
So flavoring creamed honey, doing that. I want to work on those beeswax wraps again. I'd made them before, but I wasn't happy with the coating, the consistency of the coating. It was getting too thick in areas and too thin in areas.
Yeah.
So I want to work on that also.
You should talk to Sarah from Homestead in the Hood. They make
Yeah.
really good beeswax wraps. That she would
Yeah.
know how to. She'd give you good guidance.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm friends with Matt on Facebook,
Yeah.
and I follow Homestead in the Hood. So I'll reach out to him.
They're good folks.
Brad, did you see Brad?
Here we go.
They're good folks.
I
Hey.
figured it
Oh.
out.
What's up, man?
I may have figured it
Glad
out.
y'all come in.
We just walked in the door from church.
I'll come
I
in and
said,
straighten
Joey-
my mess up I made.
I said, Joey's talking about you right now, Laura.
Hey.
So we're talking about the suckers that
hear
you
that,
guys
Cole.
have made.
You can go to livestrong.com, and that's where she got her recipe from.
What was that again?
livestrong.com.
Livestrong.com.
I got a little bit of drag on my end.
What you can do when you click in, you open it up a different channel, so you can go back to the other channel and click
Let's
mute
try it.
on it. Then you won't hear that. You should have two windows open right now. Go to the YouTube side and you hit mute on it.
Oh, good gracious.
I don't think this is it.
You can do it. This is a telephone man, y'all. He can figure this stuff out.
All right,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna do done.
Oh, he's
You hit
gone.
the wrong button.
Hey Joey, can you type in that website that he said? Did he say livestrong.com?
I think that's what it was. Let me do a
Because
search.
I just looked up that, and I don't think that that's the website that. I don't think that this is it.
It's hard for us to type in your all southern draw. It doesn't work on the keypad.
DC, you should share it on the No Life Beekeepers Facebook page.
Yeah. Yeah, do that, DC.
That'd be awesome. Appreciate it. That's what I've been trying to do. Any good
Jeff, go
resources
ahead.
I've found, I've been trying to just post it there for people to
Yeah.
look at or
Appreciate
not.
that.
Yeah, Brad.
Jeff, if
he's
you're coming
almost-
back
he's almost
in, go
popped
ahead
out.
and mute the channel you're on. Am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
Okay. Anyway, Jeff, if you can hear me, go ahead and mute the channel you're on right now. If you're coming back in, and when you come in, you won't have to worry
See, I
about
was
that.
doing it
echo.
right.
Oh, come on.
I was right. That's what I was typing. He's like, no, he
You
said
got it?
livestrong.com.
I can't tell with y'all southern draw that's on there. I can't type that southern part in there. It doesn't work.
Uh,
There he is.
Philip found it.
You got to add him back to this. There you go.
I don't think I come through the YouTube side though.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
got
DC
it out
doesn't
now.
have Facebook. It's a YouTube video though, DC.
Oh,
I'll look it up. You've got all the information there.
Okay, but it's not letting
didn't
me
y'all
pull
find it?
it?
Can you hear me now,
Okay.
Joey?
What?
Yeah, you're coming through.
Yeah, I can hear you good. What?
All right.
What temperature do y'all bring that to?
Uh-oh. Hey, Laura.
That sounds like me.
That's the muscle to this business. What temperature do you bring your spoons up to?
A soft crack.
A soft crack. What I does?
That's 275.
Yeah, okay.
275.
Somebody knows. Yeah, okay.
I made
soft
caramels yesterday.
It's a
That's
candy.
soft crack.
What's all in it?
It's a cracking.
I know they could go to Livestrong, but what's all in it?
It's sugar, water, vinegar.
Sugar, water, vinegar, and honey.
Sugar, water, vinegar. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Can
you.
you
Use the white vinegar. And what else?
Just use the white vinegar.
This is Laura.
Hello. The apple cider vinegar tends to make the spoons a little softer.
can you type the website into the comments?
Okay, let's see.
That would be great.
Do you guys do any other flavors or just honey? Just straight honey flavor?
No, you can have some fun with flavors. Go to the the candy making section.
Yeah.
And buy those little 2 ounce. No, they're not even 2 ounce. Those little bitty little bottles of flavor oil.
Okay.
And you add that to that batch.
Got a long sleeve on.
The Live Strong recipe I cut in half because I don't have a kettle big enough
Okay.
to accommodate. So I'll use between half and almost a whole bottle to flavor a batch.
All right, we know who has all the answers now.
Yeah.
It's in the
Appreciate it.
com-
Thank
it's
you.
in the
I'll let y'all have
comments.
one guess.
You went out there, Joey. Say that again.
Oh, I stopped because Jeff was talking.
Oh.
Well, I typed it in the
But
comments
anyway-
a minute ago. That
Okay,
livestrong.com. I put it in the comments.
Okay, thank you.
let me.
It's back up a couple of spaces.
All right, I'll look.
I didn't see it.
I put it in too.
Y'all might have noticed that Jeff talks, but Laura talks different. He is a Wisconsin girl. Oh, he went out again. There. See it.
That's what I-
Jeff.com.
Did you find the recipe on there though, Brian?
No, I'm still looking
See, I
for
don't.
that.
I don't know that that's the right. Is that what he typed up above?
I don't. That's the only one that I found that actually came up with a website, and it's a food website. So I'm like, all
I know,
right,
but I'm like, I don't think that that's the right. I
Okay.
don't know. That's
I
why
don't-
I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
looking for his comment
Let's
above.
Well, that's what I did. I put livestrong.com.
Oh, here we go. No, I found it.
You found the recipe on here?
Yeah, it's called "How to Make a Honey Spoon." I lost the title.
For a tea party.
For a tea party favor. That's right.
That's right. And I think it's livestrong.com.
Yep, livestrong.com.
Okay, I found
So that is the correct website, Melissa. How to make a honey spoon for a tea party favor.
Got it.
Oh my God, you missed a step.
Cool, thank you.
Now we're gaining ground.
Then I'll have to figure out how to adjust it for altitude.
Leave the oven door open.
Yeah.
Yeah, those. Well, Jeff, what did y'all say? Y'all got different prices on it depending where
Yeah.
you go.
No, it's always been $1 for the spoons.
Oh, $1. I thought she said she charged more somewhere.
Oh, hang on. She's correcting me.
I bet she does.
If I,
Here we go. She already just sat down.
no, I'm fixing lunch. If I sell them outside of the Dairy Festival, that's our big kickoff every May or June. I'm sorry. So I sell them for $1 there. But if someone orders them specifically, like a coffee house or something, they're $2 each. Because they're going to mark
There
it
you
up
go.
to 3 or 4.
Mhm.
How much honey is typically on a spoon? Do you know?
Oh, shoot. I can do out of that little batch, because I cut her batch in half, I can do up to 36 spoons. So it's not, I mean, I buy the hard plastic, clear plastic spoons from Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whatever I can put on there. So there might be a tablespoon.
Mm-hmm.
So
Have you ever considered going to like lollipop molds and the lollipop sticks?
We talked about that a lot this past season when we started making them.
Yeah.
It's just, I got to get enough molds to pour that many at one time.
Okay.
But yes, because I thought too, that would be a really neat way to eliminate the spoon part.
mhm.
Yeah, I think they'd look a little bit nicer and you might be able to charge a little bit more without that
Yeah.
plastic spoon there.
You could. The only thing with going that route is because we would have to charge a little more, and I'd probably still keep them for that kickoff because a lot of the kids just like them.
Yeah.
And I want to avoid having a stick. If they give them to their kids, I'd like to avoid the stick for
Yeah.
a little person. But you can always give them the extra options.
And they started out as
Cool.
something to sweeten your coffee with, but they became suckers.
I'm getting your lunch.
Yeah, that's what Joey was saying.
Yeah, a lady come by and bought some and said, "Would they work as a sucker?" Popped one in her kid's mouth. They got about 20 yards away. Come back, bought the rest of them. And then every year she's come by buying. We went from 12 the first year to now. I think we're up to 200. I think 200 something.
You could do a hot honey and put cinnamon in it and be like those like red hots, you know, those candies.
We've did the red hots. We
Yeah.
did tutti
I like you
frutti.
folks. You think like me.
We did vanilla. We've did kind of flavors. Yeah, tutti frutti and lemon and red hots.
Nice.
Salted caramel with sea salt.
Yep.
There's a good question, Jeff. Do y'all have one on hand to show?
Hang on, she's got one.
Can you guys just email us one of those spoons to try?
Yeah. Check your email. Just don't lick.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
He's AT&T.
Little wax paper on the one side.
Yeah.
Now the only thing it's missing is the label that says what's in it and what flavor it is.
Okay.
But this is a peach.
I like
Oh,
it.
peach.
I like it.
And it's just a spoon out of one of them boxes of 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah, that looks nice too.
Mm-hmm.
It has a nice presentation.
Yeah. And they expect them now at the Dairy
Yeah,
Festival.
Jeff, y'all going to Nobby?
Oh, we're planning on it. We've even talked to the club.
Oh, there we go.
About seeing if they
Bring
wanna go.
bring plenty of those spoons to hand out to the group, please.
That's right.
All right.
That's
We
the
may-
initiation.
We may make that our advertisement or something.
We're
Yeah,
we're
your
gonna add
business
that to the
card.
we're gonna
That's
add
right.
that to the JW fan club bylaws.
That's
If
right.
you want to get in the fan club, you got to bring
This is a bunch of
offering.
Annabes. These people are a bunch of young hippies, yuppies. Don't,
I've been
They're always
watching.
looking for something. They're always
I
looking for
about
something.
realized
from
that.
Now, he ain't talking about me. He ain't talking about me, Jeff.
No, I think he's talking about the
I feel-
ones next to you.
I'm an old hippie.
No, see, he's talking about the one over here, over this way.
Yeah, the bald-headed guy.
Yeah, the bald-headed guy.
They're always
Or maybe-
looking for something for nothing.
Oh,
Charge
maybe
them
it's-
for it. Bring them
Maybe
down
it's the
there
fellow
and sell
down
them.
here. I think it's the guy down here,
That's what they do to you.
right here.
Charge them big time
But
for them.
I tell you what we're gonna have to do one night is to get Annabes. What we're gonna have to do one night is get Jeff and Laura on here and let's just let them talk.
Sure,
I guarantee you they can hold the floor.
Come on, Joey.
Mhm.
I did just get out of church now. You flooding the. I'm putting my boots on.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Jeff's kind of like me. He'll go in the bee yard and
Think.
do some things, and then
Was that the bread?
Laura come back and undo some of what he does.
That's just them northern Yankee people.
Yeah,
That's how come she talk different.
we're
Annabes.
all-
Well, do you guys have a YouTube channel?
We don't. Joey
Hopefully
hasn't
just
taught me.
asking.
Joey hadn't broke me in on this yet.
Well, that's what happens. They rope you into doing these lives, and then they guilt you into
Yes.
start putting videos up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought every beekeeper in the South had a YouTube channel.
We had one about 15 years ago. We called it Facebook. We was putting everything live on Facebook,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
never got.
I seen
never
Josh
switched over.
sitting back there. Tell Josh, I said, "Hey,
That's so Josh. He's eating right now. He's got something crunchy.
hey, Josh."
You see old Joey.
He's busy.
He said he's eating. He don't care.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Ain't worry about me.
Yeah, you said something about putting the comments. Now that I'm on this screen, I don't even see comments no more.
Says Jeff will talk to a fence post. He must be good friends with somebody I know.
I'll talk to
Yeah,
anybody.
here.
Who's that saying that about me? Oh, Greg Dunn.
Greg Dunn. Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
Hmm.
Well, you fit right in with this bunch, old buddy. That Tom will talk to Rock all day.
That's another reason why we do so good at the Dairy Festival. We don't hardly let anybody go by that we don't talk to. And we give samples out. We get everybody to come over and try everything. Welcome to the crazy group. Yeah. You'll find out how crazy we are. We're
Whereabouts are you?
We're the unorthodox beekeepers. We give people hope.
Yeah, so on some of the lives here, we're labeled as no life beekeepers.
I got
So
I
you're
think
close
Bob
to Joey?
come up with that one, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'm about 20 minutes from Joey.
Okay.
If you know how Louisiana makes the big boot shape, we're sitting on the big toe just in the edge of Mississippi.
Got it.
Don't taste any sweet in it.
No.
I tell people we the toe jam.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You can actually pull us up. We're Sandy Hook, Mississippi. It's actually on the map. Ain't nothing there but a post office.
We don't even have a post office down here where I'm at. My mail goes through Franklinton. I'm gonna make this one bigger to read it.
Yeah, that's why I don't have any videos.
Oh, Joey started that thing about me talking to a fence post. I see that.
What me?
That's what Greg said.
Oh.
I can't believe UB says we grew his project for the winter. His project list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I'm meeting some lady to pick up some equipment. I bought some equipment. I'm not a big buy used equipment person, but this lady I know as a beekeeper, and she was she started a nonprofit and then got really big really fast and then got married and had a baby. So like 2 years ago, I bought a bunch of equipment from her. And then the nonprofit kind of closed down because it was mostly driven by her and she's kind of moved on. So tomorrow I'm going to pick up the rest of the equipment. So it's nice. I'm getting a whole bunch of already assembled honey supers, already painted honey supers. And I'm not getting the best price for it, but because all that work's already done, and I know she did a really good job of putting together her equipment because I already bought some from her. I was like, that's cool. It's fine. It's more space in my vehicle for Nabby, for other stuff that, honey supers. And I think there's going to be like 35 of them. So
Yeah, that's great because that's one of the things you were really needing for this next year.
That's right. Yep. So that's a big box I'm checking off. So that's going to be something I'm doing tomorrow. And then
appreciate that, Clay.
We're eating some bread that I made for the honey show this past week. So I'd never made honey bread before. And I literally just looked this bread recipe up online and made it. Didn't taste it or anything and entered it in the honey show. I didn't place with it. I wasn't expecting to. I just wanted to feed the comment card back to see what they said. And then I could take that recipe and tweak it after that.
Yeah.
It's actually not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's not good. I would say it's not good. I would say it's great. That's what I was saying.
It definitely needs a little more.
Brad's gonna be moving
you can barely
bees.
taste the honey in it. What about Brad? I'm hoping to move my bees inside tomorrow.
He's moving bees in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Make a video, Brad, so we can follow
Get
along with your
another
journey.
season. Yep. Brad's in Canada. Jeff, if you didn't know, he's in Canada. He winters his inside, or some of them.
Oh, okay.
Keeps them in a cool room.
Yeah, DC mentioned something about honey lozenges. I've never looked into it, but if I were to do that, I'd probably add propolis into it.
Yeah.
Just because that throat and mouth health that propolis has, that'd probably be a good selling point.
Agreed.
But it's more candy, more hard candy. That's a whole science, man.
I say so.
I'll tell you something else that we do you might want to try. Your wilt honey. I bought me a jar of Folders instant coffee, and I throw 2 tablespoons of coffee over in that whipped honey. And a day or two later, tried it and didn't think it was strong enough, so I threw 5 more tablespoons in there. Well, about 2 weeks later, it had sucked all the moisture out of that honey and dissolved that instant coffee, and it was like, if you love coffee, it was like heaven. So
We've done an espresso infused honey, but
Yeah.
we make it a little differently.
So with the instant coffee, did it completely
dissolved.
dissolve all the crystals and stuff? So the coffee crystals, and so it was nice and smooth still?
That's
Or
right.
was there graininess to it from that instant coffee?
You couldn't tell you put the instant coffee in it.
Okay.
It took a couple weeks, but
Interesting.
All I like to say is, Clay Bunner, watch what you wish for.
He might be disappointed, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, everybody that is going to the expo, what day, maybe put it in the comments, are you coming down? Are you coming down on Wednesday, or are you coming down on not until Thursday?
We're planning on flying in the 1st,
So
which is that Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah. We wanted
Well-
like a day just to settle in.
I'll be
And the
driving.
reason, the reason
I'll
I'm
be
asking,
driving.
you're driving?
Hey, Joey, what time you think you'll get there that evening?
Yeah,
I made
I'll
my
probably leave
reservation for
before
Thursday,
daylight.
Friday is what I did. Unless I'm not coming down on New Year's Day. But I'm,
Why not?
I'm on an hour and a half away basically. So
What else do you?
What else are you gonna do?
What else are you gonna do?
I have to work for a living. I'm a poor boy.
Oh, get out
I
of here.
keep forgetting that. I don't just run up and down the road and go to meetings and,
So the reason I'm asking though is because you all watch all these chats, and I've been talking to Charlie about like what day, we're trying to plan the group dinner thing. If anybody wants to show up for a dinner, just to hang out for the evening, and we're trying to figure out what day to do it on. And I was thinking Wednesday. Most people are coming down Wednesday. Wednesday might be the day to do it, because Thursday, Matthew Duche, I can't ever say his last name, the Comfort Pro guy, he's hosting an event called Beaks and Brews, which is like a mead tasting event. And I believe that's on Thursday, and we're doing that on Thursday. And then so Wednesday is open, and then Friday, and I didn't know if most people are leaving Saturday, but I was just thinking that Wednesday would probably be the easiest day to find a space, because it's during the week that could accommodate a larger group.
rather than a Friday or a Saturday evening. So I'm just curious what day most people are coming in.
that was that. What day did Ricky have that dinner at the Mexican place that
it was
time?
that
That
it
was
was
the day
that
before, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the day before, so it would have been Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah. I made that one. I guess I left around 4 or 5 o'clock, and the dinner was what, 6?
Something like that.
6:30.
I think so.
I was gonna call the restaurant that I have in mind this week and see if they have how many people they could accommodate and what that would look like. But yeah, so just trying to get an idea of when most people were coming in.
And I'm not that social. Don't plan. I'm not going to be there Wednesday night. Don't mean anything.
You just email the card number.
No.
Yeah.
I saw in the chat Pete's coming in on Wednesday. Pete, are you driving or are you flying? Just curious. We haven't gotten our tickets to fly out yet. We're going to fly out and then drive a rental back. At least that's our current plan. Driving, nice. And I think
We're going to
John.
definitely have to go to that chicken place again, Brian.
Yeah, that was good. We just have to remember what it was called, Joey. I can't.
Yep.
I keep trying to find it, and I can't find it.
Chicken place.
What it was, I was sitting there at Nature's Image booth, and I was listening to some guy talking to Greg while I was waiting to get my stuff. And he mentioned, I'm a new beekeeper. I live in the area. And I'm like, when they're done with their conversation, I was like, hey, excuse me, where's a good barbecue place? Where's a good place to go out to eat? And he told me that place. And I keep trying to look for it, and I don't know where it is. And it was good. And Philip was there too. Yeah, I won't be driving a U-Haul. We'll have probably a minivan.
We could probably find out. I bet we can find out where it's at.
There's a really good Cuban restaurant down in Louisville, kind of in the city area. That's really good too.
All I'm going to tell you is, in that downtown area, be kind of careful where you go if you don't know the area, because it can be a little on the rough side now.
I'm a rough character. You see my hat? I'm a rough guy. I can handle it.
Yeah. You be, well, I'm not going to go there.
Go ahead. You're not going to offend me. Let's hear it. I know they would, Carl. He doesn't listen to me.
Like I just mentioned,
I got
there,
a big delay.
Carl, watch what you wish for.
I wasn't looking for Cuban restaurants in Louisville, but I can't figure it out.
Go to Google.
I've been trying to get Brad Hogg down there, but he hadn't. He make any comments last night after the chat?
No, not after you left.
Non-commit.
Not after you left.
Yeah.
No, we're just letting that absorb in. JW, he'll probably come.
We can get JW to come down on Wednesday so he can enjoy the dinner with everybody. Come on, JW. Change those hotel reservations. Add a day. Beginning.
I'll even drive you around.
I
How
don't
about
think
that?
so.
Come on.
You guys go ahead and make your plans, and if I have to,
What's it said, Tabana?
No.
you guys go ahead and make your plans.
It's complicated.
So Todd, Brian is flying down there, so you just need to drive to Brian, and then you both can fly in together, and then you guys can drive back to Colorado, and then you can fly back to California. See?
Philip had a similar plan. I don't know if you saw that in the chat. Philip was going to Memphis and hitching a ride with Brian C.
And then Todd, in February, you can drive to Colorado and meet up with Brian, and then fly into St. Louis
Yeah.
Hey.
for the EMBA conference.
Easy peasy, Todd.
Check a couple of bags
Yeah.
with your Appy tablets and your
Hey,
other
buddy.
stuff.
That's right.
You can set up a table and pay for your flight back home.
It's only money, folks. It's only money. Okay? It's only money.
Easy peasy. That's right. See, I just figured it all out for you.
It don't do you any good if you just hold on to it, huh?
That's right. You can't take it with you.
Well, y'all, thanks for letting me in here. I'll try to join some more. I'm gonna cut out on you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I'm,
Hey,
Yeah,
y'all
thanks
too.
for the information
I'm
on the
glad you
suckers.
come in and clarified that.
Well, it just worked out at the right time. We turned it on, and you were talking. I say he's talking about you. But I hope to see all y'all at the expo. So
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
y'all have a good night.
Nice.
See you later.
That's gonna be fun.
Todd,
Appreciate
who
y'all.
wants to go further north in February? That doesn't make any sense. You're
Yeah.
going the wrong direction.
Nobody.
Sorry, Brad.
Yeah. Sorry, Brad. You can drive down here, okay, buddy?
Tom and Melissa, are you done purchasing for your Nabby purchases?
We haven't started the purchasing. We were making a list and kind of refining it.
Yeah.
One of the things I had on there was to purchase some double screen boards, but JW talked me into just making them. So a couple weeks back, I already cut the boards. I just need to cut the basically the spacers that go on there and stuff. So, and then drill my holes and put my screen and stuff on them.
no, I'm not trying to be smart alecky, but you guys talk about winter projects and making stuff. I'm in my wood shop almost every day, at least once. I'm always making something, so I don't prioritize. I just make it as I need it. So
That sounds like a brag to me.
yeah.
Well, Tom's wood shop is in our garage, so you'd have to dig everything out.
It's not a big deal. I
No.
don't have much of a wood shop. I can do a lot with it.
You know, I started out doing the whole I'll use the
Yeah.
Go ahead, JW. Say it again. I was gonna say I used to use the winters to like assemble equipment and put frames together, and now I'm definitely in the just buying assembled kind of frame of mind. It's much easier. It's a much better use of my time. Even in the winter, I have plenty of other things I can do to occupy my time
Yeah.
than assembly equipment.
That's true. Ron, back to your subject on your little making your
Tank.
barrels to mix your.
Yeah.
You can actually buy, 10-gallon, 15-gallon polyurethane tanks.
Yeah. I just need something bigger. I've got a 10-gallon like water cooler right now I'm using,
Okay.
and I just need to scale up.
Well, what I'm telling you is you can buy them all different sizes. You can buy them up to 50-gallon with
Okay.
the pump built in. All you got to do is circulate it. When you first put it in, it may gum up your pump a little bit to start with a battery pump, but all you got to do is put your return or your outlet right back in the top of most of them got a seal on the top. run it back in, do your circulation, and when you take it out, pump it out and drop it in your hives.
I'll have to take a look at those too.
You can buy them at most farm stores if you got some in your area.
Like Tractor Supply.
Any of them ranchers and stuff. There's going to be that kind of stuff around out there.
Cool.
Tractor Supplies. Do you have those in Denver?
Yep, we got Tractor
Some kind of
Supplies
places
out here.
will have them.
Okay.
And you don't have to build nothing. What I used to do on mine, I had do you have a 4-wheeler or anything?
No.
You don't have anything. Like I said, I know you got some bees in your having a senior moment where they got the
solar farm?
Huh?
The
Yeah,
solar
your solar farm.
Yeah.
You could ride a side by side or a 4-wheeler, and them tanks you can mount right on them. That's what I used to do, and go in between my hives and just go down through there, filling my feeders as I went.
See, that's one of my yards where I can drive right up to my beehives, but I would say about half of my beehives I can't do that. So
But you can get those in different sizes is the point I'm making. 25 gallon, 30, 40. And you don't have, if you get a 50-gallon tank, you don't have to fill it completely full.
Yeah.
Because those little pumps, like Joy said, on those are pressure orientated. When you pull a handle, they run, and then when they build that pressure up, then they'll stop.
Hey, Charlie. I'm kind of into that idea, JW, because again, I'd rather pay a little more and have it built properly than have me kind of put it together poorly, which is kind of what I do as far as assembling stuff. So I appreciate that.
I finally found me some of them lids I was looking for.
Nice.
Oh, those are expensive.
Where'd you get them, Joey?
Yeah.
Tractor Supply had 3 of them.
Nice.
Like I said, if you're not into building things, well, those will work, because I've used them off and on for different sources, over the years.
Yeah, DC, I'll go back and look at yours again. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are you trying to do, Brian? Get a tank in the back of your truck?
No, just scale up my tank, but not have it in the back of my truck. Just have it in my backyard. So Joey had a video on his barrel system the other day, because I'm making syrup out of a 10-gallon water cooler right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a bottleneck for me. So looking at doing it bigger, and I'm using the drill, to mix it. So I'll spend like an hour mixing 10 gallons of syrup in the morning, and then an hour giving it to colonies, and then I've got to come back and do it again. So just scaling up my syrup tank.
Yeah, like when I'm making mine, it's 40-gallon batches.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be in the back of my truck. I don't want it to be on a trailer. That just doesn't work for my situation. So I'm making it I'm going to set something up in my backyard, and then fill up buckets or containers that I'm going to bring with me. I'm in this place now. It's weird where I've been in this growth mentality for forever, and now I'm not. I'm in this, now I don't want to grow anymore. How can I make sure I don't grow? How can I dial in my efficiencies, which I've been working on for a while? Yeah. But that's really what I'm focusing on now. Like I don't know if you saw that Better Bee put their sale on, and they had that 13-gallon bottling tank. I don't know if anyone saw that, but it's like, I don't know, it was like $150, and then it had the handles and a strainer. I went ahead and bought that just because I've been making my batches of creamed honey in a 5-gallon bucket. So I'm making 4-gallon batches, which comes out to like 4 cases.
Right.
So I'll make a batch, and by the time it's ready, I'll start selling it. And then I've got to make another batch almost immediately. So I've got to learn how to scale up my batches. So I'm going to use that bottling tank just for my flavored creamed honey. So I don't have to worry about washing out the creamed honey tank or anything. That's going to make the creamed honey. And then instead of taking it and putting it in a bucket and flavoring it, then I'll put it in that larger bottling tank and then flavor it from there. But just that's the kind of stuff I've got to dial
Well, didn't
in.
you buy 2 bottling tanks at Nobby this year?
Well, I've got two, like the heated bottling tanks. One's for my liquid honey, right, to just
Right.
bottle stuff there, and the other one's my creaming machine. So that one's making the creamed honey, but I don't want to put my flavors in that because then I've got to empty it out completely, wash it out, and then start it fresh.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I think Carl, he kind of
he
has
has
that
two
set up.
creamers. Yeah, so he has one creamer for the plain cream. Well, I think he washes his out more, but he does have the Lyson and the Hilco one.
Yeah, as far as like when you're doing your sugar water, they're like Joey's got there. What are you doing, Joey? 40 gallons in that barrel? Something like that.
Well,
What's your maximum amount that
I've
you
probably made
can
close
do?
to that before. I could make close if I needed to, 55 gallons. I usually make about 30 to 40 gallons at a time, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do 40 gallons because I got a 40-gallon tank in the back of my truck with a pump on it. That's the reason I do that. But I got a 55-gallon drum, honey drum. Time I get 40 gallons in there of 2 to 1, it's not that, it might be a foot from the top, something like that. You might get close to 50 gallons if I was just, mixing it that deep. But yeah, I know what you're saying, Brian. I mean, I used to sit there and I'd sit there and work for 4 hours in the evening, cooking sugar on the stove, pouring in 5-gallon buckets, and I'd have 6 5-gallon buckets. I only had, let's say 6 hives or something like that. And in 6 to 8 hours, it's all what I took me 4 hours. They drank it all and just an overnight. And it's like, and then you get the ants and the mess in the kitchen and all that stuff. It's like, see you, Brad.
Well, I learned to get it out of the house. I did that pretty quickly, but I just gotta, it's about time for me. I'm a one-man show, so.
Yeah. Well, Brian or Carl there is still thinking about doing the same.
If you're going to use something like this outside, you're going to have to make some kind of cover for it to keep bees out of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Unless it's a screened area or something.
Okay.
But that design that Joey's got here.
I see Todd mentioned he's got a valve. Somebody else mentioned earlier about putting a valve at the bottom of the barrel. See, Todd's got one on his.
Yeah. Do you see a drawback to that?
No, not really. If you're going to run it out in portable containers, that'd work fine. Just build your little stand where your barrel's up, where you can get a bucket or whatever you're going to use underneath it.
And that's the way mine is now. It's just perfect height for the buckets I'm pouring it into.
But he's got that pump on
That's
there.
the way a lot of people do it. They got a fixed mix somewhere, and they fill their buckets up and carry them to the yard wherever they got to go. So different beekeepers do it differently,
Yeah. Pete's talking about the deals at Nabby. Pete, I pre-order as much as I can because some things will sell out. Some of the deals will be there at the show. And I also recommend if you see a deal at the show, jump on it while it's there because the next day it could be sold out too.
I'm going to tell you, it goes fast.
Yeah.
Some of the items go fast.
Yep.
I mean, I bought the doser for that ProVap that I had. It didn't go the next day. It was gone within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we pre-order as much as we can. That way we're assured to get it. And a lot of things, they'll have a cheaper price for the pre-order than the show price. Like taxes. And taxes are a big thing too. Like if you pre-order it, a lot of times you don't have to pay any sales tax.
The thing of it is that when it was at Tennessee, there wasn't any sales tax. But this year, and I had didn't pre-order like one or a couple things. Well, they didn't have a like Apis I bought from you. Number one, you got 6% sales tax in Kentucky, and if you pre-order, there's no sales tax. And of course, you get your shipping, and you get a pretty good discount on the product on top of that.
And then for us in Colorado, Pete, it's all about the shipping. It's so expensive for shipping. You're going to save depending on how much you're getting, especially if you're going to order stainless steel stuff. You're talking like $500 in shipping for stainless steel equipment. So that's where you're really saving the money. It's not like 20% off. It's the shipping on. I don't know how much you're buying, Pete, but at the scale that I'm buying, it's just so expensive for all the shipping because nothing's close to Colorado that we're buying.
Well, even if you're just buying a couple of cases of glass, shipping's going to kill you. You're going to save so much money in just a couple of cases of glass.
That's right.
Buying it at Nobby, just in shipping alone.
Yep.
Todd, that Hilco Speedfill bottler is amazing. I love it. I can't even imagine bottling, jarring creamed honey without that thing. I'm glad I never did. It's great. And I left the first batch of creamed honey I left it in that creamer for like 2 months because I was trying to get it as light as I possibly could just to like experiment. And so it was pretty thick, but after 2 months of creaming in that thing, and it didn't have any issue pulling it through and filling my jars. It was well worth the money.
And that's one that'll probably sell out. I know that sold out last year, and he's only got so many units of them, I bet.
Yeah.
So he asked, even if it's cool, it pumps okay. So I pump it straight out of the creaming machine. And in that room, it's not a heated room, but we do have 3 heated bottling tanks in that room that we keep, right around between 95 and 100 degrees. So that room does stay a little bit warmer than the rest of the basement, I guess you would say, but it's not like.
It's probably 65, 70 degrees in there.
Yeah. So that's about the temperature of the creamed honey when I'm pumping it.
And I did have one time where I was pumping liquid honey where it did keep turning off on me. And I felt like it was because of the viscosity of that honey. But I have since pumped creamed honey with no problem at all. So I feel I'm happy with it. And Todd, how much creamed honey I do. And like that was one of the reasons I purchased it was for how much time it takes to bottle creamed honey. Because I have bottled creamed honey from
I don't even.
Yeah. So it's definitely worth it. The problem with that machine is it's not great. And Charlie's talked about this. Like, it's not great if you're going to sit there and bottle 20 jars. If you're going to do 20 jars, you might as well just use the one drip valve. You're good to go because the amount of setup time and then cleanup afterward is pretty considerable. So
But I don't clean mine up. So that's the difference between you and me. I don't clean mine. I just leave it. I left it just hooked up to the creamer. I start another batch and then I keep going with it. But I'm not flavoring honeys either. I'm just doing plain creamed honey.
So you're never cleaning it out. You're never rinsing it out after use.
Not yet. No.
Well, we've only done one batch, to be fair, Brian.
Right. Yeah.
We've only done one batch. Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, right there's what I'm getting at with that scale, where you're scaling up to that point where you need a bottling machine.
Yep.
You got Tom and Melissa and you both are out there every weekend at fairs and events, and you're selling cases of creamed or liquid honey or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're bottling multiple cases. That's where that machine shines. For me, I'm selling 20 pounds a week, maybe.
Yep. That's exactly right.
I'm not going out to events. They're coming to me. Sometimes I sell 40 pounds a week. I can go out there in 10 minutes with a one drip valve on my Maxant. I mean, my Maxant to me is literally a back and shoulder saver for me because I got it out on my back enclosed porch. It's on a scissors lift. I can jack it up. I can sit at a chair, hold the bottle, and then pour. And I've gotten so good at it. I mean, and I weigh every one of them, but I'm within 1/10 of an ounce or two at the most.
And see,
You know,
liquid honey though, like we just use our 1-drip valves on our max scent takes. Like I don't mind doing that. That's fine. But that creamed honey, you wouldn't be able to do that with you would have to have a honey gate.
That's what I do. I don't
know,
have the 1-drip. I use just an open gate
for
creamed honey. Yeah.
For your creamed honey. And that bottler though, that speed fill is just amazing. Like Carl just posted, it took 70 bottles of creamed honey. It took him 4 hours. I could do 70 bottles with that speed fill in 20 minutes.
Yep.
You know, like, and that might be even giving me too much time. Like that thing is just, it's amazing. Like actually, I could probably do it in 10 minutes to be quite honest.
Yeah,
like,
that's pushing.
Like it's pretty fast.
That's pushing it.
No, because I'm trying to think. Those boxes are 12 in a box, and I can do those I can do a box in like 5 minutes, maybe.
Well, right there, that's what I'm getting at. Is there's your justification of buying that right there.
Yep.
70 bottles in 4 hours, or take the same amount in, let's say, 20 minutes. A huge amount of savings there.
Yep.
And all that. And then when you're talking about pre-buying, the vendor, if they can put, let's say they got pre-sales and prepaid, let's say 50 of those speed fills, they know that that's not something that they got to truck back home. They know it's sold. And that's what they're really looking for. They want to be able to pack that tractor and trailer or whatever they're hauling in with product that's not going back home and all that. But
I bet John Hill will have 6 to 8 tractor trailer loads there this year. He had 5 last year, I think it was.
Really?
Yeah. Every once in a while in a video of his, I'd comment and just kind of poke him about doing like a wax spinner.
Yeah.
I was hoping he would debut one for Nabby for this year. But when he went out and put out all of his sale stuff, that's when I went out and just pulled the trigger on the Max Ant one. I wanted to see if he was going to come out with one first. But
so
if you ask him, usually, if you inquire, it's like me, he didn't have solar wax motors on his sale bill for Nobby.
Yeah.
I run across him. He was at our convention. I run across him. He said, yeah, I went ahead and ordered 4 Nobby at 10% off, so.
Yeah.
So if you if you would have called him, said, are you going to put these on sale for Nobby? He'd probably knock 10% or whatever.
Well, he doesn't even have one, JW. That's the thing. He doesn't even have one.
I didn't know that.
But he's such an opportunist, He's the kind of guy who's looking around and going, there's only one of these out there and I can make one cheaper. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of time until he's going to.
Tom actually had a conversation about some of that with him earlier this year.
Yeah. Well, I had a conversation with him at the Illinois fair too. So when everybody started with the first conference and everybody cleared out, at that point in time, those are the times you had those good conversations, right, Brian?
That's when Tom starts politicking, as JW says.
That's right.
Well, JW was in there politicking with me, honestly. So he'll poke at me, but he politicked with me. But we went in there and sat down and just chilled out for probably like an hour or so and just, talked candidly. But I asked him that time too. I said, all right, John, so here's the deal, man. I'm like, do you have that automatic uncapping line ready to go yet? What's the deal? He's like, no, not yet. And I'm like, all right, what else do you have that you're coming out with that's automated? I'm like, hook me up here, man. What's going on? He's like, yeah, well, we're working on a couple things, but like he said, and I get it. And he said, I'm working on some of the stuff that has the largest demand. And I'm like, 100%, I agree with that. I'm like, not everybody's going to go up to you and ask you for some type of an automatic line or whatever it might be, right? I'm like, so you're absolutely right. I'm like, sticking with what's making you money. That way you can succeed. And at some point in time, you might move on to something else that's a little bigger and better, you know?
And when you talked to him earlier this spring, didn't he say something about like they don't want to get into something that has a lot of different parts and stuff that they're not going to be able to service? They want to make sure that they're going to be able to service whatever they're putting out.
Yeah. That's right.
I bet he could figure out how to build a wax spinner for half the cost of that Maxant one, though.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
if you think about it, Brian, I mean, kind of along the lines with the one that Maxant has, you already have a platform, which is a centrifuge, right? So at that point in time, you can start making, you already have your motor and your gear reduction assembly, and you can change that gear reduction to whatever you want.
Yep.
So you already have that in place. You already have your electronics in place because those can be ambidextrous.
Yep.
You already have a centrifuge tank. You can make adjustments to that. You're not that far off from where you're going, you know?
Yeah. So
You
you've
might
got
make
blades in a basket inside.
I mean, yeah, you're right. You really don't have to go that far away from one product you already have to kind of add value to that, all those existing parts already, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's working on something like that in the back of his head because he's always thinking for sure.
I gotta say too, people at the sideline are level. I bought that Maxant wax melter, that 8-gallon one. I love that thing. From processing wax in the little 1.5 gallon one in the kitchen to processing wax from that. That made wax processing so much easier. And then using it to melt buckets of honey to get ready for making creamed honey. That has made that process so much easier too. So I almost want to get another one to have one for melting buckets and one for wax, but I'm going to try to be frugal. But man, I love that thing. It's just made those two jobs so much easier.
All right, Brian. So let me ask you then, when it comes to making candles, and I know you already know the answer to this.
Yep.
Where is your bottleneck? No pun intended there.
He's got, I don't quite understand what Carl's talking about. All I can say is all he's got to do is go down to Pennsylvania to Lancaster there and go to the same place I get bottles and buy the cases.
You know, I think we've talked about this before. I think the bottleneck is in that wax pot as we're melting it on the oven. And then we've been moving to the wax melter to have wax melted a little bit more quickly. But that seems to be the bottleneck.
I feel like ours is the exact same thing.
Yeah. Honestly, like when I make candles, I'll do like 10 at a time. Jen made candles today for an order and she's making like 1. And I'm like, why are you getting set up? So I look at that and I'm like, that's the bottleneck.
Yes. Yeah.
Just I don't know. And I'm like, Jen, you could have pulled out 4 more molds and you could have made 5 candles instead of 1. And like for me, that's what I try to do. When I make candles, I'll set up for an afternoon. And it's kind of like the same thing as the speed fill. It's that time of pulling everything out and setting everything up and putting everything away. If I'm going to make candles, I'm going to make a bunch of them. So that's what I started, pulling out that wax melter. And we didn't use it in the past because we were filtering out a lot of our wax with it. So the insides of it were a little dirty. So I wasn't going to use it for the processed wax, just to melt it for candles. Like that's what I was using to melt the dirty wax and then filter it through paper towel. So now that we have the other wax melter, that's made my bottleneck of processing wax that one last time a whole lot easier. So now I've got buckets of bricks of wax ready to go. Whereas in the past because every wax I buy, I'm going to filter one more time, no matter how good it looks. If it's for candles, it's going to get filtered one more time. And that was a huge bottleneck, the way I was doing that. So,
yeah. Well, I think that we're still seriously looking at the Dancing Bee. The Dancing Bee 3 gallon or 3.5 gallon.
That's nice.
For pouring candles. I mean, there's a small investment there, but I also feel like what I'm buying is it's one of those machines that's multi-generational. You know what I mean? Like somebody can have it well beyond us using it. You know, it may be a little older, but it's basic. There's not a whole lot to it. There's not much that can go wrong. It's just, you know, it's a very basic, simple machine. So
And that's going to pay for itself in time. It's going to give Melissa, most likely, to do other things.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
what do you use to filter, Brian? I mean, what is it? Any special stuff or?
Well, when I was doing it in the kitchen, it was a paper towel. We've talked about that, Charlie. But when I was doing large batches outside in buckets, and now I'm doing it with the Maxant one. It's like a grease filter. It's a kitchen grease filter.
That's
Bob
what we
Binney,
used to.
in Bob Binney's, you see it in his video when they're filtering out theirs, and that gets everything really nice. Paper towel does too, but you can pour stuff through that really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we got the grease filter idea from an old timer beekeeper in our club, and who's entered like wax and honey shows, and that's how he always cleaned his wax, and that's where I got that from.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a few months later, I see Bob's video, and he's using the exact same thing. Like, there we go.
I think I got it from like a Devin Ron video years ago. I got it from a video too, and then I saw it on Bob Binney's video, and I was like, "Hey, that's exactly what I do."
Yeah,
But
and I just order those on Amazon.
Yeah, yep. And they're a little bit expensive, but they're worth it. But if you're gonna process a lot of wax at once, you're putting, like, I can put 10, 20 pounds of wax through one of those really easily. Do you guys have one of those large wax melters, those Maxants?
Yeah.
How are you liquefying buckets?
Buckets of honey or wax?
Yeah, honey.
Oh, honey.
So we store them in the 5-gallon buckets in the garage. If it crystallizes, we bring it inside and put one of those bee blankets, one of those bucket blankets around it for a day or two until it starts to kind of uncrystallize a little bit enough to just pour it into one of the bottling tanks.
Okay.
Then we finish decrystallizing, uncrystallizing it in the bottling tank.
Okay. I would consider looking into those. I don't know if it's on your list or if you've thought about it or not, but some sort of wax melter that you can also use for liquefying your buckets. I've tried liquefying buckets so many different ways, and it's just killed hours of my time.
So Brian, have you made a video on that?
No.
Would you consider doing that?
Sure.
I mean,
but I'll tell you, it's super easy. I turn it up to like 150 degrees.
Yeah.
I put the bucket in there. I turn it down to like 100 degrees. And then I walk away. And I come back the next day. And it's all liquefied.
Now, there's water surrounding that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's there's the heat thing underneath. And it's got a little stainless steel platform that sits right on top of. So you're literally just putting the bucket right inside, and it's an 8-gallon container. So that 5-gallon bucket fits in there like perfectly, kind of.
It's basically the same thing Jim Masucci's doing, just on a smaller scale.
Yeah, he's using the tank.
There's a guy in another club that in Pennsylvania, where, of course, now he bought it from Maxant, where he's done 5-gallon buckets, but Maxant basically came out with just a stainless steel tank filled with water with a submersion heater in it. And I presume maybe it's got water, I'm sure, underneath that on a grate. And he'll have 10, I'll say 10 buckets in there.
So his is like a rectangular one, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. So
sure.
This one's just round, perfect for one bucket. And it's great. It's so easy.
Yeah, but I mean, I got my videos with the, refrigerator where I got the heat lamp in there. And is it going to melt a solid bucket? No, it won't do that.
So
if it's solid, but if it's semi-liquid, and of course, I've got enough, I'll say, stock ahead of time that by the time I'm ready to pour more honey into my bottling tank, it's been in there for a week or two. Warming up.
Yep.
So the one guy that we know, he does something similar, but he uses like one of those oval feed trough whatever, and fills it with water and puts his buckets in there. I guess he has some sort of submersion heater that he puts in there.
Yeah, he has a heating element that he just basically drops inside there.
Yeah.
And then it just heats the water up around it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
He leaves it there for like a day or two.
yeah, he said he can do a bunch of buckets at one time. So
Yeah, that's a great way to do it too.
it's just it's a poor man's version of what you're doing there, basically. You know.
Yep. The biggest problem with the wax melter is if you're going from one purpose to another. Like it took a good minute to clean it out after I processed wax.
Yeah.
For me to want to put a bucket of honey in there, you know.
Sure.
So that was like maybe like if I get 2, then I don't have to worry about cleaning it out so much in between. But
for somebody else that's in a position where they have a limited fundage right now, but they need to make the most bang for their bucks, Brian, you gave them an idea. You don't have to just use it for one. You can utilize that for 2 different things now. And
it does both of those jobs very well. Like it solved 2 bottlenecks for me. So $1,000. And here's the other thing. It wasn't so bad with shipping because it wasn't that big. It's not that heavy. So as far as stainless steel things go, that's probably one of the easier ones to get shipped out to a place that you can't drive to buy it somewhere.
Sure. Hey, did any one of you guys see Cayman Reynolds? I don't know, probably last week maybe, had put out something, or no, it was on the little live chat he did. He talked about the bucket strainer and the 55-gallon drum strainer that guy was building.
Yeah, I asked him about it in the live. That's why he went and talked about it.
Okay, I remember that, Brian. Yes, thank you. I'm glad you did that because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I want to know more about what he was holding up.
Yeah.
So the next day after that thing, I went online to find, because I said, hey, what's the name of the guy selling it? And so he posted a website, or I think Medeiros put a website up there, whatever. So I went to it, and I always like talking to the phone on people to answer some questions that I might have. So I did. I called him, and I started to leave a message, and he calls me right back. And I talked to him for probably 30 minutes. Now, that guy's not a beekeeper, but he's worked with a few beekeepers in the past. So he was able to answer some questions for me. So, and I'm going to get back to him because I'm actually going to pre-order one of those for a 55-gallon drum. And I think I'm going to go with either a 400 or 500 micron that I can put on top of the barrel. So, Charlie, remember you asked me after Melissa put out that video of the clarifier, said, well, how good does it actually do, right? So we kind of showed that in a video, but I still had to go back, a day, 2 days later, a week, whatever it might be, and skim the top. So here's my thought. So I can save the time to come back and skim it. What I'm going to do is drop this guy on top of the barrel, and he's going to even put a hose holder ring or a couple rings on there for me. He goes, I can do whatever you want, Tom. He goes, customize it to however you want. So that's why I said, let me think about
if you get one of them quick couplers, you're gravy.
Right. So this is all stainless steel.
And then on top of that, put in a bucket filter inside that filter. And now all you got to do is lift that up with all the trash in it.
Yeah. And that's exactly my idea. So I said, okay, good. I said, I might go, because I was thinking about ordering 2 filters, but it's kind of costly. So I'm like, well, I can get by with one. And I said, I might go with one a little bit larger. And if I want to use a filtering type cloth or something like that, I can throw that in there and filter through it if I wanted to, or change it out. So I'm still thinking of a couple of ideas how I want them to customize it for what it might work well for me. Because the one thing I'll point out, so if anybody in here was thinking about that, the one that he has is set up for a size of a drum, which is a metal drum. So it was between 21 and I think 22 inches. Okay, if you're using a food grade plastic drum, it's slightly necked down at the top. That's not the same size. So I needed I don't think it was like 20 inches or 19 something. So I said, can you custom make me a size? He said, absolutely. Whatever size you want, there's no difference in price. So I'm going to have him make it at like 19 inches, which is a little smaller than the barrel that I'm using. I said, but the feet that you put on it that go out and hold it on top of the barrel, can you make those feet a little more broad? So if I switch or I get some metal ones, I don't have to buy another filter. He said, yeah, absolutely. So we're going to make the feet to where it'll fit the plastic drum. but it'll also fit a metal drum. So I can use whichever ones I want without having to modify it or buy another one. So this thing should last me as long as I'm doing this, you know? So anyway, that's my idea of how we're going to kind of somewhat proceed. And I'm hoping that everything's going to work out really good, which I anticipate that it would. So I'm just going to play around with a couple of ideas and have them make a couple of small adjustments on there for me. And I'm going to custom order it and I'm going to pick it up at Nobby. So, and I might even actually have them build me one for a 5-gallon bucket too. So if I have some varietal mix that I want to just maybe do a small batch of like 10, 15, 20 gallons that I'm not going to use a big drum for, I can just move the hose over and then pump whatever I need to in 5-gallon buckets too. So I'll be able to run in either direction that I want.
Nice.
So that's my idea. And so it was nice to see a few of those things out there because I'm always looking for those little bitty things that you can buy that's going to save me a mountain of time later on, you know?
Yep.
And I think this will be that for me.
You sound like a good guy to work with too, if he's going to be that flexible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He seems like a really candid guy. When you talk to him, he's a little colorful. But I believe him to be a very honest guy just by the things that he said to me, you know, he was trying to do things to help me out, not to put more money in his pocket.
Yeah.
By the way the conversation was going. So, I told him, I said, hey, you know, he's like, yeah, at first I didn't know if I was going to go to this and such. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you what, I'm like, I don't specifically know your business there, but I will say, I'm like, there's going to be a large saturation of people there. I'm like, this scale is going to go all over the place from a hobbyist who might want the 5-gallon bucket ones, or maybe sideliners, or maybe even some commercial guys are going to say, hey, I want a half a dozen of those for my barrels, whatever it might be. I'm like, I guarantee that if you are making the trip, and he already decided that he was, I'm like, you'll be able to make a good profit there and cover all your travel expenses and gain a new customer base, which is equally as important, you know?
That's right.
So
where are they out of?
Michigan.
Okay.
I believe it was Michigan or Minnesota, but I think it was Michigan. Brian, what else do you have up your sleeve for this next year? Anything exciting?
Well, I'm going to the 2 conferences, NABI and yours. I've just got a lot of work to do on the master beekeeping program. Oh, and then for the sustainability program, I have to get the YouTube thing started. So I'm going to start like a once a month, trying to get experts to talk about different sustainability topics. And then if you're a member of the Colorado State Beekeeping Association, it'll be like a Zoom meeting. We'll send out a Zoom link, we'll record it, and then like a month later, we'll post it to a YouTube channel so anyone could access it. So it'll be there forever as well. So that's like the third part of the sustainability piece that I kind of built into that program. And I just didn't even touch it at all over the summer because I was too busy. So I got to launch that. That'll be, actually, I'm really excited to do that. I have a bunch of people I want to reach out to be speakers for that. And then I'll be politicking at NABI to try to get some speakers.
That's how you do it, buddy.
And maybe even at your conference too, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But I have a list of really cool ideas. And actually, it was great because I had a bunch of ideas in the beginning back in April. And then we went to the state conference this Saturday, and talking to a bunch of people just sparked a whole bunch of new ideas. So I got a bunch of people to reach out to.
That's cool. So Brian, you kind of gave me an idea. Well, not an idea, but the one thing that I'm thinking about. So Melissa and I both have to do our master project this next coming year also.
Yep.
And I'm not going to really focus much on that over the winter, I don't think, but I'll probably focus on it next year. So hopefully by this time next year, I can have my certification already complete or maybe close. But possibly we might be making a video or a couple videos for, one of our projects. I guess she kind of has an idea about what she wants to do, I think. So maybe I'll use that one for mine, but maybe making a one or a couple of videos for that, which that was not my actual intention on the project. I had a couple of other ideas that were presented to me, but when I was presented with this opportunity, I'm like, you know what? I'm really thinking hard about it. The guy that presented it to me said he was going to be gone to Africa and would getting ready to leave, and he wouldn't be back until January. So, and he was coming to St. Louis. So I'm like, okay, when you get back in, let's meet up. Let's go grab dinner. And I'm like, we'll have some conversation. So that kind of got me pretty excited about, different things that we're going to move on here this next year,
Cool.
Are you buying a lot of like I don't know, AprilGuard or Formic or any of that kind of stuff? I mean,
we are.
I got a thing from what's it called?
Foxhound.
Foxhound. They got some pretty good prices. They're all pretty close on some of the stuff, but like a tub of AprilGuard, they're like at 118 compared to everybody else around 130.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to Formic, seems like Formic's right there. They're all within 50 cents of each other.
Yeah. Todd, it is on February 8th is the actual conference, but we're having a banquet dinner the night before, and stay tuned because it's possible, it's in the works, possible that Friday before, we're trying to work out some details. Anybody who might be interested in the American Honey Training Council judging program,
We might be hosting that the day
we
before.
might be hosting that the day before. So if there's people that are interested that are coming, think about and have any interest in that program whatsoever, there's going to be a cost to it. It's going to be added cost for sure.
So that'd be like all day Friday?
Yes. Yeah, it'll be all day on Friday. And then, so somebody came in Thursday night or like really early on Friday morning, they could go to that all day. They could go to the banquet dinner in the evening. The hotel is right there. And then from there, they can, get their rest wherever at the hotel, whatever, next morning, get up and have the full day conference.
So like at the Illinois conference that we just went to, the training council was from 8. Was it at 8? 8 to 4? Either 8 or 9 to 4.
I think it was, we started at 8:30 and it started from 9 and went till about 3:30-ish or 4.
4. And then our banquet dinner, which there'll be separate charges for the training council, the dinner, and then the workshop.
Yeah.
The dinner would not start until like 6 or 6:30. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And then the conference the next day would start at 8 in the morning. So, but the training council is dependent on if I can get the space that I need for that. I need to talk to the venue and see if they have that space available.
Okay.
But the board has given me approval to book it. I just need to secure the space.
So in the planning of that, from a planner's perspective, you're flying one person out to do that training on Friday?
Two people.
Two
people.
Okay. Thank you.
So, there's a little bit of cost with that, of course.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so not only that, like there's a cost for us, but then the training council. So the cost of the class is actually what the training council charges for the class.
Yeah.
That's not us. Well, not us, but not the EMBA, the club.
Right.
That fee is not for the club. That's the training council's fee.
I understand.
Yeah. But I will say this, I don't know that I haven't. So I went to the class with Melissa that day. But I don't know for sure that I'm going to follow through with all that on my own because that's not really my desires per se. I'll gladly help Melissa out with anything, but I believe probably Melissa's going to end up following through with that. And to me, with what she had entered this weekend and had won, you gain points for that. She's already almost all the way through the points that she needs with all the entries that she did and what she won. So
a little over halfway.
Yeah. So, she's well on her way with that. She'll have to do a lot of
volunteer hours,
which rightfully so. and there's different other training stuff that has to go into it. But I think, anything worth a lot of value requires a lot of time or
Effort.
effort for sure. So I was pretty pumped to hear all this, and I like it. I just don't know that it's specifically for me.
So again, from a planner's perspective, is there a minimum participants they need to come out?
Yeah, I think it was like 5 or 6.
5 or 6, and
That's
a
easy to
maximum of 25. So
Correct.
this is going to be something that I do believe that St. Louis, if we can get this pulled together, and I would say it's 50-50 right now.
It all hinges on the space.
That's
If
right.
I can get the space, it's a go. If I can't get the space, then we'll just have to wait till next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
I would definitely do it next year.
yeah.
Well, I just want you to know that I can't wait.
I'm excited for you then.
JW is going to be the first one to sign up for the honey judge training.
Well, the reason I'm asking so much was KT, who is in charge of our honey show, was kind of grumbling about how she had to miss the entire event because she was in a back room doing the judging of the honey show event.
Yeah.
So she was worked up about trying to get some sort of training in for Colorado to start training people to start spreading that love of the work of the honey show for the state meeting, so it's not burdened on 1 or 2 people every single time.
Yeah.
And part of that's training other people to be able to do that,
That's right. And I have to say, first when Melissa and I heard about this, through Hive Life, and we thought about it, I was like, this program sounds kind of ridiculous because it's like, how does somebody not place? You know what I mean? In this thing. But the more you learn about it, understand, and you really think about it, you're like, okay, so we're not grading on a curve here. Like if everybody brings a bunch of crap, you're not saying, okay, this is the first place of all the crap that you all brought today.
No, there's no first place.
Yeah. There's a standard. If nobody meets the standards in every category,
Nobody
guess
gets
what?
first place.
Nobody places.
Yeah.
If everybody brings junk, there are no ribbons handed out,
For example, in the honey bread category, I was the only one that brought honey bread. I didn't place at all.
Yeah.
So as someone who kind of makes their living partially off of products of the hive, I have huge appreciation for all the people that put energy into this kind of stuff, from the judges to the people who participate. But I'm like you, Tom. I'll appreciate it, but I don't want to. That's a rabbit hole I'm happy to let other folks dive down. I'll dive down other rabbit holes, but I love and I think it helps people make better products and think about how they can make better products and different products, that kind of thing.
Well, and that's the
I'm
whole,
not a super meticulous person.
If you talk to like Brooks English, he'll tell you like that's kind of the purpose of the honey show, is to educate people and help them become better producers.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
So what did
where's my cut for the candle?
Granted,
where's my cut, Melissa?
I know, I'm sorry. I mean, granted, I'm not selling pristine bottles of honey to my customers. That would be an impossibility. Like that would be ridiculous. But it makes you more cautious or more aware when you are filling your bottles. Make sure you're filling them to that fill line. If you're not filling them to that fill line, you're cheating your customer. If you're overfilling those bottles, you're cheating yourself,
That's right.
So there's like little aspects of it that, obviously I'm not selling this nice, beautiful, clear with no pollen in it honey to my customers. Like that wouldn't, like they want the pollen in the honey, right?
You're not wiping every fingerprint off every jar before you sell it?
Honestly, Brian, some of the jars are probably sticky when
Oh my gosh, I'm appalled right now.
But your point, I mean, the honey show does that. They set the
just
standard.
makes you more aware of what you're doing when you're producing your own honey to sell to your clients,
Yeah.
So
and as you're mass producing a product, you're aware of what that best quality standard is,
right?
And you can decide which of those you're going to match and which of those you can let go of. Like one thing I'm a stickler about is that processing of beeswax. That's one thing I'm super meticulous about. but like I tried doing this 1 year and I was trying to make a beeswax block and I was
Oh
trying
my
to
God,
get it
that is
perfectly
that.
level. And I was
Oh,
like, I don't enjoy this at all. This is just frustrating and infuriating me. Why am I doing this?
that
But learning
beeswax block
about it,
eludes me.
yeah. But
Jamie
learning
Wynn,
about it really helps me make stuff better.
Jamie Wynn from Sweet Harlan, his beeswax blocks are absolutely beautiful. He's won first place like once or twice at Hive Life and Nobby. And I swear I'm going to knock him off his throne. But I have not been able to perfect that yet.
Yeah. I also made people interested in the honey show. I made this mistake last year and I won't make it this year. I waited till Saturday to pick up all of my orders. And then I went to the honey show room to see what was left. And it was almost completely cleared out. Almost
You have
everybody
to go there immediately after they announce the winners.
Yeah.
Because people start picking up. I think they're supposed to leave them there until a certain time. As soon as that time hits, though, people are in there picking up their stuff because they don't want somebody else walking off with it accidentally or it getting damaged from people picking up their stuff and bumping into it and, things like that.
Yeah.
So I was busy loading up my vehicle Saturday when I should have been checking out the honey show and all the winners. So I'm gonna make sure I don't do that mistake again.
It was nice though. So when you get to the honey show and you go to enter all your stuff, like you have it, you're so careful. You have it all wrapped all nice so nothing gets smudged or dirty or banged into anything or dinged or whatnot. And you're setting all your stuff up and you're buffing everything and you're cleaning all your glass and you look like a weirdo. And because no fingerprints or smudges on anything and whatnot. And they come out with these trays and you set your thing on the trays and they walk them over to where they need to be and the whole process. But when you go to pick your stuff up, you just like got your buckets and you're like just like throwing
It's like the beginning of a market and the end of a market.
I know.
Right.
So Andrew and Grace did our market on Saturday because we were out of town, right? And our Muth bottles, the 8-ounce and the 1-pound Muth bottles, we still keep in the they're not in the boxes necessarily they came in, but I keep those dividers so they're not banging into each other. And my labels are tied with twine and kind of hang off their cardstock labels.
Mhm.
And you have to lay the label down on the bottle and slide it in there. Otherwise, the label gets bumped up like this and it starts to rip. So I'm very curious to see when they cleaned up if they laid my labels down or if they're all sticking up and now I'm going to have to relabel a bunch of bottles.
She's going to be chewing them out now.
Boy,
But
I want to give you some feedback too about markets. I want to encourage you to be more flexible on your prices. You can change your prices from event to event, and I guarantee your customers aren't going to even notice. When's the last time, thinking about that person coming back and buying that honey jar again or that candle again? Hey, last time this candle was $5 and now it's $6. No one's going to remember that. And even if they do, you can always be like, look around, look at our economy. Everything's going up and no one's going to argue that. So you'd be like, look, I'm just trying to. And Jen does a great job of being like, at this market, let's just try a different price point and let's see. And every single time we try it, and it ends up staying at that price point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can be flexible with your prices. And that's what's great about pop-up markets too. You can go to a pop-up market and they don't know you at all. So you can try a total different price point at that market and no one knows you. So it's all brand new for them. So that's one of the drawbacks of doing the farmer's market over and over again. They get to know you a little bit. But we've changed prices on, I would say, at least five different products this year. And sometimes from week to week, because I don't even remember what the price is. So Jen puts a candle for 12 and I'm like 10, and people are like, sure, okay. Or no problem.
So I always print a price list out with all of our products, the product and price list that we have sitting, because I can remember the prices of all of our honey products.
Yeah.
But those candles, there's too many different ones. I can't remember what candle is how much.
Me
So
too.
I have a price sheet printed and everything's listed on it.
You could print that price sheet over. Just
Yeah.
change the number and print it again. And you can make
Yeah.
$2 more on one sale and pay for that reprint.
Yeah. So Brian, it's really
Read.
funny that you just mentioned that and said that, because I actually told Melissa the same thing, or not exactly what you said, but I'm like, look at it this way. When you go to, I don't know, a gas station, you buy a soda, it's whatever, $1.50, whatever it might be. And I'm like, when you go and you buy that same soda from the ball game, the fair, I'm like, name any specialized event. That $1 or $1.50 soda is now $5, $6, $7, $8. And I'm like, it's the same freaking soda. It's just the area that you're in. And I'm like, it's not, you're not being untruthful. I'm like, it's just, it's supply and demand. Somebody's there at an event. They're not going to leave to go down to the gas station and buy a soda when it's already there in front of them. They'll just pay whatever they want to pay for it. Right.
Yeah.
So Michael Buck has a question here. Did you guys see that?
Joey, we're 3 hours in. I'm going to check out on them. These are like the ever bunny. They just keep on.
I was about to tell you all we got to have is maybe one more good live, and Tom won't have a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that battery commercial. They just keep on bunnying.
Yeah, I use the cellophane.
Yeah.
Talking about what Michael Buck's talking about. If it gets that bad, but I don't hardly ever have that issue no more. But you can drop cellophane down on it and pull it up, and it'll pull all that foam and anything that's floated to the top.
Yeah. Unless it's really bad, we just leave it alone, import into our bottling tank.
Yeah.
And that's one of those topics you don't hear people talking about very much. Jeff Horchoff, Mr. Ed, has a really good video on hydrogen peroxide in honey. That's where I learned a lot about it. Those are my favorite videos of his. Any of the honey house ones or the wax processing.
Mm-hmm.
I like those the best. I like the cutout ones too, but I like the ones inside his honey house the best.
Yeah, it's been a little over 3 hours.
Hey, thanks for filling in tonight, Joey.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Y'all just remember Tim and Hannah and her grandmother, and keep them in your prayers.
Yeah.
And again, I want to thank all the veterans for what you've done. You can't say enough about that either.
Yeah.
If I run into, I shouldn't even say it out loud, but if I run into a veteran in a diner or something, he's got that cap on, I'm buying his lunch before I walk out of there.
Yeah.
That's just something I've always done.
Yeah.
Just remember them.
That's right.
But I'm going to go ahead and end the chat and just say good night to everybody. Enjoyed everybody's input over in the chat and appreciate everybody coming into the studio. We'll see y'all later.
See everybody.
See you guys.